Chapter 583. In the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm. Ever since Pan Huang called back all the Eldar, the Earthly Spirit's Secret Realm had gathered all the power of the Earthly Spirit clan. At the same time, the atmosphere in the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm was heavy. Inside the palace, Pan Huang suddenly opened his eyes as if he had found something. Pan Wu and Pan Yu also looked towards the sky at the same time. Over there, they saw a stone knife tearing the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm apart. At this moment, all the Eldar raised their heads and looked at the sky. There should have been nothing there, but a stone knife was tearing the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm apart. Then two huge hands reached in from the outside and violently tore the crack into a huge hole. Rumble! As the sky was torn apart, the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm seemed to be stimulated. The entire Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm started to boil. The mountains were shaking. The mountains seemed to come alive one after another. They stood up from the ground and roared at the hands that were tearing the sky apart. "How dare you trespass into my Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm!" Pan Huang roared and took a step forward. His body turned into a flowing light and disappeared. At the same time, a mountain that was 10,000 feet tall was completely revived. It turned into a huge stone man and roared angrily. The face of the stone man. It looked exactly like Pan Huang. This was the original form of the Eldar. Any Eldar was actually the form of mountains and earth veins. At this moment, Pan Wu and Pan Yu also called out their original forms. Then, the three stone men stood in the sky and coldly stared at the hands that were tearing the sky apart. As the three stone men appeared, the Earthly Spirit Clan members, who had been in a panic, calmed down at this moment. "Qin Shujian of the human race is here to collect the debt." A deep voice rang out, and a huge palm came crashing down from the hole. Pan Huang was shocked. He also countered with a palm strike. Boom! The two palms collided. The terrifying power reverberated in the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm as if it was going to tear the Secret Realm apart. To this, Pan Huang took a step forward and rushed out of the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm. At the same time, Pan Wu and Pan Yu did the same. Qin Shujian of the human race. This title, to the Earthen Eldar, it could be said to be like thunder in their ears. After all, two of the three fallen Eldar Almighties were killed by the other party. In addition to the other party's battle record. When it came to reputation, Qin Shujian was already not much worse than the rulers of some races. Outside, Qin Shujian violently tore apart the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm and launched an attack inside. He did not go in without permission. After all, no matter what, it was still the enemy's headquarters. Under such circumstances, all he had to do was to attack them from the outside and force them out. As for not coming out, Qin Shujian was not worried at all. Anyway, with the Godslayer in his hands, tearing a secret realm apart was as easy as eating and drinking. If he didn't come out, he would just squat outside the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm and stab his opponent from time to time. Even if he couldn't tear the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm apart, it was enough to disgust his opponent. As expected, after being attacked, the experts from the Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm did not dare to start a fight in the Secret Realm, so they walked out directly. Outside, three giants stood proudly between heaven and earth. Qin Shujian did not use his celestial body. Instead, he flew to the same height as all the stone men and looked at them. Looking at the human in front of them, none of the three Eldar Almighties dared to underestimate him. Looking at Qin Shujian, Pan Huang said coldly, "Sir, you came to my Earth's Spirit's Secret Realm to cause trouble. Do you want to start a war with my Eldar?" As for Qin Shujian, Pan Huang was extremely fearful. Such a powerhouse. If it wasn't necessary, he really didn't want to be enemies with him. Hearing that, Qin Shujian sneered and said, "So what if we start a war? I'm here to start a war. Your Eldar dared to besiege the human race some time ago. Now I'm here to collect the debt. The human race is very strong, but my Eldar is not weak either. If you start a war with my Eldar, it won't be a good thing for the human race." Pan Huang warned. Qin Shujian said, It's none of your business. Today, I'm here to collect the debt from the Eldar. If you give me 2 drops of Ling Huang's blood essence, I'll turn around and leave without another word. Ling Huang's blood essence. The faces of the 3 immediately darkened. The Emperor was the dignity of a race. At this moment, if they really gave Ling Huang's blood essence, the Eldar would lose face. Pan Huang said gloomily, "Don't be too presumptuous. My Emperor is a Nirvana realm powerhouse. Although you're very strong, you might not be a match for him. Since you don't want to give it to me, I'll take it myself. I also want to see how strong Ling Huang is." Qin Shujian couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with him. Celestial body. A body that was tens of thousands of feet tall appeared. Although it wasn't as tall as the Eldar's body, it wasn't too far off. In the next moment, Qin Shujian slashed out with his saber. The saber was the blood of 1,000 mountains. It was better to leave something like the God Slayer to deal with Ling Huang. The saber tore through the void, causing the expressions of Pan Huang and the others to change. Kill! There was no hesitation. The 3 earthly spirit clan experts attacked at the same time. Boom! The long river of laws appeared vaguely, and the terrifying power shattered the void. Qin Shujian fought against the 3 of them alone. His saber slashed down from the sky, annihilating all the power that came at him. Boom! Boom! The 4 of them fought, and the power was earth-shattering. Only 4 terrifying giants could be seen fighting crazily. The aftermath of the battle. It flattened all the mountains within tens of thousands of miles. With the Earth Spirit Realm as the foundation, the land within millions of miles was the territory of the Earth Eldar. Moreover, there were no other races in the Earth Spirit Clan's territory. Therefore, although the fluctuations here were strong, it didn't attract the attention of the other powerhouses. 2 9th-level celestial being powerhouses. 1 8th-level celestial being powerhouse. When Qin Shujian saw Pan Huang and the others, he knew that the Earth Eldar had indeed hidden his strength. However, this was also within his expectations. 1 more 9th-level celestial being, 1 less 9th-level celestial being, for Qin Shujian, was within the range that he could bear. But judging from the current situation, Ling Huang was indeed in seclusion. "After I kill you, let's see if Ling Huang really won't come out." Qin Shujian laughed. The blood of 1,000 mountains erupted with a terrifying cold light, directly tearing apart the long river of laws. At the same time, a terrifying power spread from his body, bursting the surrounding territory. Boom! The power of laws descended. In an instant, Qin Shujian's strength soared. The saber energy was so condensed that it was solid. The destructive power lingered around the saber, and everywhere it passed, the void was shattered. 28,500 combat power. After using lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, it had soared to the 60,000 mark. Coupled with the increase of the power of laws, at this time, Qin Shujian, his combat power had officially broken through the 100,000 mark. 100,000 combat power. This was the foundation of an immortal. In other words, the current Qin Shujian was not much weaker than an ancient true immortal who did not use the power of laws. The saber energy slashed down. The guardian divine General Pan Wu seemed to feel the aura of destruction. When his expression changed drastically, he also shrank the power of the territory to his body and then turned it into a huge defensive barrier. At the same time, Pan Huang and Pan Yu's attacks also erupted, wanting to resolve the crisis of Pan Wu. Boom! The saber slashed down on the barrier. The terrifying power instantly tore the barrier apart. As Pan Wu roared, the blood of 1,000 mountains slashed heavily on the other party's body. Swoosh! The terrifying saber light split a 10,000 feet tall stone man into 2. Just as Pan Wu fell, the 2's attacks also bombarded Qin Shujian's body. The effect of the 9 tribulations' immortal body was shown at this time. The power that was enough to destroy the world was bombarded. It only cracked Qin Shujian's body, but it quickly recovered. Go, devour the power of his flesh and blood. Qin Shujian asked Jiang Feng, who was like an invisible person, to devour the flesh and blood of the fallen Pan Wu. Although the other party was a mountain in human form, but in fact, at this point, he had already broken free from the shackles of his essence and had the flesh and blood power of a living creature. At this moment, 2 ninth-level celestial beings were in front of him. Qin Shujian did not have the time to refine Pan Wu. Besides, the energy that refining an 8th-level celestial being could give him could only be said to not be of much use to him now. Hearing that, Jiang Feng suddenly moved. Black blood mist surged and instantly enveloped the 10,000-foot-tall corpse. Everything happened in an instant. Not long after the battle began, the Guardian Divine General of the Earth Eldar had already fallen. Pan Huang and Pan Yu were both angry and frightened. This was the suppression of strength. The strength that was comparable to that of an emperor was not something that a few mighty figures could contend against. To be able to deal with an emperor, only an emperor could do it. After killing Pan Wu with one slash and harvesting a wave of life force, Qin Shujian's gaze fell on the remaining 2. If I kill all of you, even if the Earth Eldar still has an Earthling Huang, he won't be able to hold on for long. A race. An emperor was a stabilizing force. However, a celestial being was also indispensable. If all the mighty figures of a race died and only one emperor was left, then the race would not be far from destruction. As soon as he finished speaking, Pan Huang and Pan Yu's expressions changed drastically. Then Pan Huang roared, "I am the great elder of the Earth Eldar, Pan Huang. Now that a powerful enemy has invaded the Earth Eldar, please help me kill the enemy." Rumble! A vast aura of providence rose into the air. The Earth Eldar and the Earth's spirit secret realm all shouted in unison. Help the great elder kill the enemy. Help the great elder kill the enemy. Help the great elder kill the enemy. His mind soared into the sky and directly broke through the Earth's spirit secret realm. At this moment, Qin Shujian felt as if the surrounding world was rejecting him. That was the disgust of the Earth Eldar's luck. Right now, I really look like a big villain. He could now see the angry Earth Eldar through the Earth's spirit secret realm, and he could also feel the fighting intent of the Eldar's luck. The current him, he was like a villain who forced the Eldar, and the Eldar wanted to work together to destroy him, the enemy. Seeing this, Qin Shujian shook his head and put away the mountain blood. Then, he took out the Godslayer. However, I think I am a decent person. He was a human. The Earth Eldar was an enemy race. If he killed the Earth Eldar now, in the eyes of the human race, Qin Shujian would be a hero. Now, the Earth Eldar's luck was vast. A large amount of luck poured into Pan Huang's body, causing his aura to soar. In the blink of an eye, he broke through the limit of the 9th level of the celestial being and reached the 10th level of the celestial being. His aura swept across the world. The skyrocketing power filled Pan Huang's heart with endless confidence. Qin Shujian, how dare you kill my Earth Spirit Clan's divine guardian? Today, I'll kill you right here and now so that the human race will lose a sovereign. Boom! The fist shattered the vacuum. The long river of laws turned into a terrifying domain and descended. Qin Shujian raised his eyebrows and looked at the terrifying attack. The god-slaying saber emitted an endless amount of sharpness and suddenly charged towards Pan Huang. The other party had reached the 10th level of the celestial being with the help of luck. However, such a 10th level celestial being did not have the same improvement in his comprehension of laws. Strictly speaking, he could only be considered a fake 10th level celestial being because his comprehension of laws was still at the 9th level of the celestial being. But even so, Pan Huang's strength also soared. Facing such an expert, Qin Shujian also had to be careful. On the other side, Pan Yu also unleashed all his power and attacked Qin Shujian. Strictly speaking, the current divine guardian was his personal disciple. Pan Wu died. It was also a huge blow to Pan Yu. Apart from that, in Pan Yu's opinion, Qin Shujian's threat was too great. If such an expert was not killed, the Earth Eldar would never have a day of peace. Just as the battle broke out, in the distance, a group of hundreds of players was hiding in a sunken ground. They looked up at the 3 giants who were fighting and the terrifying power they emitted. It made them tremble in fear. F*CK, they're so F*King strong. The second strongest human expert in the Eastern continent is indeed extremely powerful. The one who died just now was the Earth Eldar's divine guardian, right? I heard that his strength was at the 8th or 9th level of the celestial being, but he was killed with a single slash. The battle in front of them made these players curse in a low voice, but they did not dare to show their faces easily. They originally thought that it was a war between two races and wanted to take this opportunity to get some missions and gain some benefits. In the end, a war was a war. But it was not a war between races as they thought. Instead, it was a human expert challenging an Eldar expert. To be honest, this kind of strength was really fascinating. A player said enviously. To be able to kill an 8th or 9th level celestial being expert with a single slash, this human expert's strength is really terrifying. If he can walk out of the real world, he's probably comparable to the strongest experts in our desolate great world. Probably. The person next to him replied with uncertainty. The 3 continents had a total of players from 3 worlds. The desolate great world, the red jade great world, and the 9 moons great world. The players in the western continent came from the desolate great world. Someone shook his head and said, "What are you thinking? Although the experts in this world are powerful, it's actually just an illusory game world. How can there be a chance to walk out? I just don't know who created this game to be so realistic. I'm guessing that it must be a powerful existence who created this world with his own hands." A player casually replied. The origin of the game world was an extremely mysterious existence to the 3 great worlds. There were experts in each great world who were exploring the origin of this game and the meaning of its existence. However, those things were handled by the top experts in each world. They, who entered the world to find opportunities to improve their cultivation, were not qualified to care so much. What should we do? Are we just going to watch? What can we do if we don't watch? Can't you see that these big bosses are ridiculously strong? With just a few of us, the aftershock from the battle will be enough to wipe us out. It's not a bad idea to watch. Perhaps watching such experts fight will be of some help to our cultivation in the future. That being said, however, some players were still a little jealous when they saw Pan Wu fall. Usually, against such a powerhouse, there was no way they could defeat him. Now that Pan Wu had fallen, there might be some treasures left behind. If they could loot the corpse, even if these players died once, they would still go over to loot the corpse. However, Pan Wu was surrounded by a black and red blood mist. No one dared to enter. Any normal person could see that. There must be a big problem with that black and red blood mist. At this moment, the battle was still ongoing. With the help of Eldar's luck, Pan Huang's strength had also increased greatly. But even so, facing Qin Shijian's attacks, he was still retreating. Fake Celestial being level 10. His control of the rules was not enough, and there was no way to eliminate the rule power on Qin Shijian's body. If that was the case, with the increase of the rule power, Qin Shijian could even wrestle with a Nirvana realm expert. In addition to the power of the God Slayer, although he could not fully unleash it. However, he only activated a little bit. It also had the power to destroy the world. So, although Pan Huang's attacks were heavy, Qin Shijian's attacks were even more fierce. As for Pan Yu, he had been completely reduced to a support. Boom! Kill! Qin Shijian's left hand turned into a fist and collided with Pan Yu's fist. Under the impact of the terrifying power, the stone-like arm cracked, and blood seeped out from it. At the same time, the God Slayer slashed out, but its target was Pan Huang. Pan Huang roared angrily. His fist drew the long river of laws and smashed down. The terrifying power turned the space within 10,000 miles into turbulence. The next second, Qin Shijian took a step forward, suppressing the void. He held the God Slayer with both hands and slashed out fiercely. The saber light tore through the sky. Facing such an attack, Pan Huang was shocked. He did not dare to face Zhu Bing directly and immediately retreated. At this moment, the God Slayer changed the direction of its attack and locked onto Pan Yu. Just as Pan Yu was about to dodge, spirit severing, his divine will turned into a saber and slashed out, violently bombarding Pan Yu's body. His divine will suffered a terrifying attack. It made Pan Yu fall into a short daze. Qin Shujian endured the discomfort in his mind and slashed down with the God Slayer. Help! The threat of death woke Pan Yu up instantly. However, it was already too late. The God Slayer slashed down and completely swallowed Pan Yu. Then, Qin Shujian grabbed Pan Yu's body. The red lotus of purgation burned and completely swallowed Pan Yu's body. He was too lazy to swallow Pan Wu before, nor did he have the time to do so. He could not waste Pan Yu now. No matter what, he was still a 9th level heaven being expert. More importantly, after killing Pan Yu, Pan Huang, the great elder of the Eldar, was also stunned. Looking at Pan Yu's body being refined by the red lotus of purgation, as well as Qin Shujian, who was holding Zhu Bing in one hand and Pan Yu's corpse in the other, there was uncontrollable fear in his eyes. He was scared. At this moment, he was really scared. Even with the blessing of the Eldar's luck, Pan Huang did not have any confidence. The strength that Qin Shujian displayed, it gave him the illusion that he was facing the emperor of a large clan. That kind of power, it was not something that a 10th level heaven being like him could deal with. Other than worrying about his own safety, Pan Huang was even more worried about the safety of the entire Eldar. At this moment, Pan Wu and Pan Yu had died. If even he died, then other than Ling Huang, there was no other Eldar who could control the situation. I'll say it again. Hand over 2 drops of Ling Huang's blood essence, and I can let your Eldar go. Otherwise, your Eldar can wait to be exterminated. Qin Shujian sneered and threatened. He was still a little afraid of Ling Huang. After all, Pan Huang had the blessing of the Eldar's luck and had reached such a level. If Ling Huang attacked with all his strength, the other party's strength might not be much weaker than the Demon Emperor and the Divine Emperor. After all, this was the Eldar's territory. However, Qin Shujian was not too afraid. At this moment, he had killed 2 Eldar Almighties and could leave at any time. Even if Ling Huang attacked, he could not keep him. Hearing this, Pan Huang did not reply. Instead, he shook the Eldar's luck and turned it into a thought that reverberated in the Eldar. The Eldar has encountered a strong enemy. My Emperor, please make a move. Then, a terrifying force awakened in the Earth's spirit secret realm. A powerful aura. Even the Earth's spirit secret realm could not hide it, and directly rushed outside. At that moment, the emperors of all the races were alarmed and looked in the direction of the Eldar. Just now, they sensed the aura of Ling Huang, the emperor of a race. No matter how weak the emperor was, he was still worthy of the attention of all the races. So, the moment Ling Huang's aura appeared, all the races received the news. When Ling Huang's aura recovered, Qin Shujian's expression also became solemn. In his hand, Pan Yu's corpse was still being refined. In the Earth's spirit secret realm, a stone man that was tens of thousands of feet tall woke up from his deep sleep, and his vast divine consciousness swept out. When the stone man awoke, Yizichen was stunned. In the Earth's spirit secret realm, many Eldar prostrated themselves. Greetings, my Emperor! Who dares to invade my Eldar? Ling Huang ignored the Eldar. Instead, he raised his head to look at the sky of the secret realm that had recovered. Then, he tore the secret realm with both hands and stepped out. In the outside world, with the appearance of Ling Huang, the Eldar's luck that gathered on Pan Huang's body suddenly dissipated, causing his realm to fall back. However, Pan Huang did not panic at all. Instead, he bowed to Ling Huang. Greetings, my Emperor. What happened? Where are the others? Ling Huang did not seem to be completely awake as he looked at Pan Huang and asked. Pan Huang replied respectfully, My Emperor, Pan Shan and the others have fallen in the hands of the humans. Pan Wu and Pan Yu were also killed by the humans in front of me. I am no match for them, so I have no choice but to ask for your help. What? The Earth's Spirit Emperor came to his senses completely, and was enraged. Chapter 584. Di Ling Huang, Eldar's ultimate powerhouse. When he saw the other party appear, Qin Shijian's mind was already solemn. Before the other party could make a move, he had already turned his divine will into a blade and slashed out. At the same time, the God Slayer erupted with shocking power. In an instant, it shattered the void and charged towards Di Ling Huang. This slash. It was Qin Shijian's peak slash with the help of the rule power that he could still use. That flash of blade light. It was as if it could split heaven and earth. Di Ling Huang was shocked. He couldn't care less about his anger and immediately responded. He only saw the long river of rule power surging. A mountain peak that was almost solid appeared. That was another form of the domain. Facing such an attack, Di Ling Huang didn't even think of opening the domain and then devouring Qin Shijian. Because in his opinion, a powerhouse who could unleash such an attack must have extremely powerful control of the rule power. Even if he opened the domain himself, it wouldn't have any effect on it. Fighting against a powerhouse of the same level, it was never one's domain that devoured another's domain. Instead, it was borrowing the power of the rule power to unleash one's strongest power. As for using the domain to weaken it, that was just a way for a powerhouse of a higher realm to crush a cultivator of a lower realm. It was also because of this. After breaking through to the 7th level of the celestial being, Almighties were rarely afraid of being besieged. The reason was, it was because of the existence of the domain. But just as the long river of rule power turned into a mountain peak, Di Ling Huang felt that the spirit god had suffered an impact, causing him to be stunned for a moment. Soon, Di Ling Huang woke up. At this moment, that flash of blade light was about to touch his face. There was no hesitation. The long river of rule power surged. The mountain peak shattered the void and collided with the God Slayer. Boom! Zhu Bing's edge was unstoppable. The mountain peak condensed by the long river of rule power was directly torn apart. The stone blade's momentum didn't stop and slashed heavily on Di Ling Huang's body. Bang! Di Ling Huang was sent flying, smashing through countless voids. His tens of thousands of feet tall body was almost split into two by the stone saber. Blood splattered everywhere. The scene suddenly fell into a terrifying silence. On the other side, after severely injuring Ling Huang with one slash, Qin Shijian grabbed the red lotus that was refining Pan Yu and shouted, "Let's go!" After saying this, he had already broken through the void and left. Jiang Feng, who was devouring Pan Wu, received the order and immediately fled behind Qin Shijian. At this moment, Jiang Feng, although he didn't completely devour much of Pan Wu's power, however, the other party was a powerhouse at the 8th level of the celestial being realm. The energy contained in his body was not something a first-level celestial being could compare to, even if he had absorbed quite a lot of it. The injuries on Jiang Feng's body had also completely recovered. Not only that, his strength had even broken through to the 2nd level of the sky-human realm. When Qin Shijian and Jiang Feng left, Pan Huang didn't even try to stop him. "It's not that I don't want to." He didn't react at all. He never expected that the moment Di Ling Huang appeared, he would be severely injured by Qin Shijian. The strength that the other party displayed, it made Pan Huang terrified. Obviously, Qin Shijian hid his strength very well. When he fought with them, he didn't show his true strength at all. Until Di Ling Huang appeared. Only then did he erupt. That slash. Pan Huang felt the aura of death and destruction. Without a doubt. With his strength, if he encountered a slash that could severely injure Di Ling Huang, he would definitely die. Now Qin Shijian had escaped. In Pan Huang's opinion, the other party might be an arrow at the end of its flight. But even so, he didn't dare to chase after him. Afraid. Pan Huang was afraid of death. In addition, now that Di Ling Huang was severely injured for no reason, he knew that he couldn't die. Once he died, if Di Ling Huang was seriously injured again, then even with the Earth Spirit Realm, he might not be able to block the attacks of other races. That was Di Ling Huang? The players, who had been reduced to spectators, were all stunned. Di Ling Huang. Without a doubt, that was indeed Di Ling Huang. With a body of tens of thousands of feet, Pan Huang, the great Eldar Elder, was like a younger brother in front of the other party. And the powerful aura that he emitted. It was already enough to make people's hearts tremble. That terrifying aura. It had already exceeded their imagination. It was as if the supreme experts of the desolate great world were inferior. However, such an expert was severely injured by Qin Shujian with a single slash. These players didn't know Qin Shujian's strength, but the other party had severely injured Ling Huang with a single slash and left. Obviously, he had consumed a lot of energy. However, no matter how much energy he had consumed, to be able to severely injure an expert of this level with a single slash was also a shocking thing. The surrounding players. Now, they were also in a daze. After hearing this, they said hesitantly, "It should be Di Ling Huang." Hearing this, the hearts of all the players were beating violently. There was no other reason. It was purely because of nervousness. They didn't expect that they would encounter such a shocking battle when they just wanted to come over to freeload a few missions. Some players looked at the severely injured Di Ling Huang. That slash had almost split the Emperor in half, and blood was still flowing nonstop. Blood fell to the ground. Like rolling magma, it corroded the ground. The blood of a clan's emperor could easily suppress an ordinary celestial cultivator. Such blood dripped to the ground. One could imagine the destruction it caused. "Do you think we have a chance to kill this boss?" At the moment, Di Ling Huang looked as if he would die at any moment. A heavily injured and dying boss was an irresistible temptation. If they could kill Di Ling Huang, the experience points they would obtain would probably allow them to break through to the celestial realm. However, after hearing this player's words, the others looked at him as if they were looking at a fool. It was true that Di Ling Huang was heavily injured. But even if he was heavily injured, he was still the strongest of a clan. An existence of this level. Not to mention alive. Even if he was dead, the aura on his body could suppress them. If they really attacked, then it wouldn't be Di Ling Huang being killed. It would be sending him to his death. The gaze of his teammate. It made that player's face a little hot, and then he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Yes, that's right. He was tempted by Di Ling Huang. But he made a slip of the tongue. There was no need to do this. On the other side, Qin Shujian had already left Eldar's territory while devouring the Red Lotus. Running away after one slash was his current strategy. There was no other way. Using an ancestral armament consumed an enormous amount of energy. With his current strength, he was only able to use an ancestral armament once. Furthermore, he would not be able to unleash all of the ancestral armament's might. According to what the God-slaying saber said, that was, with his current strength, he could at most unleash 30% of Zhu Bing's power. However, even 30% of its power was enough to destroy heaven and earth. After all, God's Slayer at its peak was an existence that could even kill an ancient true immortal. 30% of its power could severely injure Di Ling Huang. It was a piece of cake. It's just that Di Ling Huang seems to be a little retarded. Qin Shujian sighed. Really. He had never felt so good about slashing. Di Ling Huang was like a hothead. He didn't use his domain to weaken his rules. Instead, he relied on his own strength to withstand that peak slash. Qin Shujian estimated. With all his various buffs, his combat strength had already exceeded the 100,000 mark. Coupled with the 30% of Godslayer's power, the power that he could unleash, it was at least 300,000 to 500,000. When Di Ling Huang first appeared, Qin Shujian used his Dharma eye to see that the other party was still at the 10th level of the celestial being realm. He hadn't really broken through to the Nirvana realm. But to be able to become the emperor of a clan, it wasn't something that could be measured simply by realm. With Di Ling Huang's strength, he could also defeat an ordinary Nirvana realm expert in one battle. It was a pity. Di Ling Huang misjudged Qin Shujian's realm and the sharpness of God's Slayer. In the end, he was severely injured by the slash. However, Di Ling Huang's strength is really strong. I thought that the slash could kill him, but in the end, he was only seriously injured. Qin Shujian felt a little regretful. If he could kill Di Ling Huang, perhaps this time he could destroy the entire Eldar by himself. But it was a pity. He failed. In the end, it was because he wasn't strong enough to kill Di Ling Huang. Thinking of Di Ling Huang's strength, Qin Shujian silently absorbed the power of the Red Lotus to recover his own consumption. If I can break through to the 6th level of the Celestial Being realm and activate Zhu Bing in my peak state, I should be able to kill Di Ling Huang. The premise is that the other party stands there and slashes at me. Yes. Slashes at each other. Just like just now, Di Ling Huang was like a hothead. He directly used his own strength to block Godslayer's attack. Or else, it was still a little difficult. In terms of his own strength, Qin Shujian was actually not much different from the emperors of various clans. There was really a gap. It was in the use of the rules. The difference between the increase of the rules and the increase of the rules was very big. If it weren't for this problem, Qin Shujian would have rolled up his sleeves and gone against Di Ling Huang. Unfortunately, he couldn't. This gap was the reason why he couldn't really fight against the Emperor. Although he had the deterrent power of the Emperor. But he didn't have the endurance of the Emperor. Back and forth, it was just that slash. After it was done, it was gone. Qin Shujian sighed and said, "When can I last a little longer? Not too long, but at least a few more slashes." In that case, he wouldn't be as embarrassed as he was now. Di Ling Huang was seriously injured, and he couldn't even deal the final blow. If he could deal the final blow, not to mention 2 drops of Di Ling Huang's blood essence, even if it was all of the blood essence, he could get it. If you want to activate Zhu Bing, you either have to consume vital essence or infuse the power of the rules. Godslayer suddenly replied and said, "When you break through to the 7th level of the Celestial Being realm in the future, you should be able to last a little longer." 7th level of the Celestial Being realm. Qin Shujian looked at the source of life and then at the Guiyuan ancestral canon. This request was a little difficult. The source of life had not exceeded 10 billion. The road to improvement was still far away. After silently absorbing the Red Lotus, Qin Shujian replenished all the energy he had consumed. Let's go to the Eldar again." Looking at Jiang Feng, who was standing there motionless, he said lightly. His strength had been restored. He would definitely come back again. On the other side, there was dead silence in the Earth's spirit secret realm. Just now, 2 celestial beings had died in battle, and Di Ling Huang was seriously injured. Such an unforeseen event. It made the entire Eldar fall into panic. Pen Huang didn't care about these trivial matters at this time. In the main hall, the Earth's Spirit Emperor transformed into a middle-aged man and sat on the main seat. Pen Huang sat on the seat below him. "Tell me, what happened?" Di Ling Huang was completely awake now. He was seriously injured by a slash. He had to wake up even if he wasn't. He had been in seclusion for so long. Just as he was about to break through to the Nirvana realm, he was summoned by Pen Huang. So what if he came out? It wasn't a big problem. As soon as he came out, he was seriously injured. He was about to break through to the Nirvana realm, but because of this problem, it had to be delayed for a long time. However, what really made Di Ling Huang angry was that, not only was he seriously injured, but the Eldar's almighty experts had almost died. He went into seclusion once. The Earth Spirit Clan's top-notch experts were almost wiped out. Although the Eldar were all mountain spirits, Di Ling Huang was still so angry that his liver hurt. Pen Huang didn't hide anything and told him everything that had happened recently. Di Ling Huang's expression was gloomy as he said, "We should have wiped out the human race 200,000 years ago. The hateful demon race left the heavenly demon temple in the East Continent, which led to the revival of the human race." After learning about these things, not only was he angry at the human race, but he was also dissatisfied with the demon race. If the demon race hadn't left the heavenly demon temple in the East Continent, with the power of the heavenly demon temple, they could have crossed the heavy river. How could the heaven-earth restriction of the East Continent stop the myriad races? However, Di Ling Huang was just saying that. Now that the Eldar had suffered heavy losses, it couldn't be separated from the demon race, so it was normal for him to be dissatisfied. As for the heavenly demon temple, Di Ling Huang knew a little about it. It was accidentally left in the East Continent during the war in the past. The demon race didn't do it on purpose. Pan Huang said solemnly, "Your Majesty, now that our race has suffered heavy losses and you've been seriously injured by Qin Shujian, if the other races take this opportunity to attack our Eldar, I'm afraid it will be difficult for our race to survive this crisis. Ask the demon race for help." The Earth Spirit Emperor took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Then, he opened them again and said calmly, "Ask for help? No matter what, our Eldar is a subordinate race of the demon race. In order to deal with the human race, we have to put in a lot of effort, and even lost several almighty figures. Now, there are human powerhouses attacking us. Logically speaking, the demon race has to take action. Otherwise, what's the point of our Eldar relying on the demon race? If that's the case, why don't our Eldar join the human race?" Di Ling Huang said coldly. Of course. Joining the human race was just his angry words. The human race had killed the Eldar so miserably, and the two sides were already mortal enemies. It was almost impossible for them to join the human race at this time. Di Ling Huang was not afraid that the demon race wouldn't care. After all, the Eldar's sacrifice was obvious to all. This time, they had provoked Qin Shujian. It could also be blamed on the Eldar fighting for the demon race. At this time, the demon race had to set an example. Otherwise, which other race would be willing to work for the demon race? Also, Di Ling Huang's expression softened a little, and he said calmly, "Even if the news of my serious injuries spreads, the other races won't act rashly." Among the Eldar, he had absolute confidence. So what if he was seriously injured? With the blessing of the Eldar's luck, his strength would reach an unimaginable level. This was also why there would often be battles in the three continents, but there would rarely be a reason for the destruction of a race. In the end, it was because the foundation of every race could borrow luck to fight against the enemy. At that time, the 10th level of the Heaven Realm was comparable to the Nirvana Realm. The strength of a Nirvana Realm expert was even close to that of a half-immortal or even an ancient perfected immortal. If that was the case, unless it was an absolute suppression. Otherwise, it was not that easy to destroy a race. Pan Huang was worried and said, "But now that more and more experts of our race have died, the luck of our race has also been lost a lot. If this continues, it will be a big problem. Seal the mystic realm. There shouldn't be any more twists and turns in the next 1,000 years." Di Ling Huang also sighed and said, "It's a pity that the heavens and earth are now born in the East Continent. The heavens and earth of our three continents are no longer born, and there are no extra connate spiritual objects born. Over the years, the various races have lost a lot of Dao artifacts, and they have already announced that they are out. There had to be a Dao artifact to suppress the luck. There was no need for the Earth Eldar to worry about the loss of luck. But after so many years, the Dao artifacts of the three continents had been severely depleted. Apart from the few large clans who had Dao artifacts, the rest of the clans did not have many Dao artifacts. It was also because of this. The various races had to rely on experts to suppress the luck of a race. Expand the territory. Giving birth to enough clansmen could increase the luck. However, in order to prevent the loss of luck, there had to be enough experts to suppress the luck. The stronger the experts who suppressed the luck, the better. In the past, the Earth Eldar had Di Ling Huang and several mighty figures. The luck could be said to be impregnable, and there was no need to worry about the problem of loss. But now, even without Pan Huang saying it, Di Ling Huang could feel that the luck of the Earth Eldar was slowly decreasing. The luck of the Earth Eldar was too vast. With the current strength of the Earth Eldar, he could not bear such a powerful luck. So, the excess luck gradually disappeared. At this moment, the sky of the Earth's spirit mystic realm collapsed, and a hearty voice came from outside. Di Ling Huang, come out and take a beating! How dare you! Di Ling Huang was furious. In the next moment, he had already disappeared from the palace. Pen Huang's face was also as gloomy as water as he followed closely behind Di Ling Huang. In the outside world, Qin Shujian raised his stone saber and looked at Di Ling Huang and Pan Huang in front of him with a faint smile on his face. It was different from the last time he took out his true body. This time, the two of them transformed into their human forms to meet each other. Di Ling Huang stared coldly at Qin Shujian and shouted, "Human, don't go too far. Ben Huang really can't do anything to you." As for Qin Shujian's return, Di Ling Huang was really angry. A warrior would rather be killed than humiliated. The other party had returned at this time. It was obvious that he wanted to rub the dignity of the Eldar on the ground. If it wasn't for the fact that he wasn't confident in instantly killing Qin Shujian, Di Ling Huang would have already made his move. Di Ling Huang was furious. Qin Shujian didn't care at all, and said with a faint smile, "When your Eldar besieged my human race in the past, did you ever think that today would happen? I can't be bothered to talk so much nonsense with you. With my current strength, it's true that I can't kill the Eldar. However, your Earth Spirit Mystic Realm can't stop me either, unless your Di Ling Huang doesn't sleep or rest day and night, watching the changes in the Earth Spirit Mystic Realm. Otherwise, I'd like to see how many people your Eldar has for me to kill." Hearing this, Di Ling Huang's eyes burned with anger as he said with killing intent, "You really want to fight to the death with my Eldar? I already said that your Eldar besieged my human race. Didn't our races already fight to the death? Why do you have to repeat such nonsense?" Qin Shujian waved his hand, then looked at Ling Huang, who was about to explode, and said with a faint smile, "I won't talk nonsense with you. Hand over 2 drops of Ling Huang's essence blood. No matter if it's yours or the past Ling Huang's, as long as you give me 2 drops of essence blood, then I'll leave without saying anything else. I can also promise that I won't use the same method to harass your Eldar. How about it, Di Ling Huang, have you thought it through?" His goal this time. He wanted to get a drop of the Emperor's essence blood to create the Heaven List. As for the 2 drops that he wanted, it was just for his own cultivation. Di Ling Huang's anger subsided, but the aura on his body became colder and colder. "You're threatening Ben Huang? My Eldar has existed since the beginning of heaven and earth. In the ancient times, we were a large race. Don't mention the past. To be able to survive until now, which race hasn't existed since the beginning of heaven and earth? Your Eldar is a large ancient race, my human race is a peak ancient race. Even the Emperor of Heaven was a human. Did I tell you that?" Qin Shujian looked at Ling Huang like he was looking at an idiot. "In terms of foundation, which race in the 4 great continents can compare to my human race? There's no point in talking about the past. If we really returned to the ancient times, if your Eldar dared to attack my human race, you would have been destroyed by the experts of my human race. You wouldn't even have the chance to talk nonsense here. One sentence, are you giving me the 2 drops of essence blood or not? If not, I'll come to your Earth Spirit Secret Realm when I have time. Your Ling Huang's strength is indeed strong, but he definitely won't be able to keep me here." Qin Shujian was speaking openly. Either give him the essence blood, or continue to harass the Eldar. From his point of view, unless Ling Huang wanted to die together with him, the probability of him refusing was not high. As expected, the Earth Spirit King stared at him for a long time, then slowly said, "I can give you the essence blood, but as I said before, you can't have it. Don't think that my indulgence will give you the right to do whatever you want. If you really push Ben Huang too far, even if I can't take you down, but other people of the human race won't be able to do the same. At that time, my Eldar will fight it out with your human race. Let's see who can last until the end." At this time, he did not want to fight with Qin Shujian. In Ling Huang's heart, the Eldar was still the most important. But an emperor also had dignity. If Qin Shujian kept on doing this, then Ling Huang would personally go to the human race's territory and let them know that an emperor was not to be trifled with. To this, Qin Shujian did not care and said, "I'm a man of my word. Don't worry, Ling Huang." He was not afraid that Ling Huang would go to the human race's territory. The human emperor was not dead yet. With Ling Huang's strength, going there would be suicide. Qin Shujian could not wait for him to do so. However, he didn't say these words out loud. If he really angered the Earth Spirit Emperor and made him want to kill him, it wouldn't be in his interest. Chapter 585. In the end, Ling Huang still gave in. For the sake of the Earth Eldar, this emperor endured humiliation and forced out 2 drops of blood essence for Qin Shujian. Yes, Ling Huang used his own blood essence. The previous Earth Ling Huang had been dead for countless years. Even if there was blood essence left, it would have been refined by him. Qin Shujian wanted Ling Huang's blood essence. There was no other way but to obtain the materials on the spot. Looking at the 2 drops of pale golden blood in front of him that were emitting a terrifying pressure, Qin Shujian put them away. Then, he looked at Ling Huang, whose aura was a little dispirited, and said with a faint smile, "I came a little early and disturbed Ling Huang's breakthrough. It would be even better if these 2 drops of blood essence were of the Nirvana realm." "Human, you're going too far." Ling Huang resisted the urge to kill. Seeing this, Qin Shujian did not continue to provoke Ling Huang. If he provoked this emperor and really fought with him, he might not have an easy time. Then, Qin Shujian cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for Ling Huang's blood essence this time. If there's a chance in the future, I'll come and have a chat with you again. Goodbye." After saying that, he turned around and left. "Emperor!" Pan Huang looked aggrieved. The dignified Ling Huang was forced to lose 2 drops of blood essence. This matter was a disgrace to the entire Eldar. Pan Huang had never expected Qin Shujian to be so powerful. Ling Huang's turbulent aura calmed down, and he said indifferently, "From today onwards, seal the Earth's spirit secret realm. The Eldar will not participate in anything for 1,000 years. "Yes." Pan Huang respectfully accepted the order. The current Eldar could no longer withstand any torment. If this continued, his race would be wiped out. When Qin Shujian left, the Earth Eldar then sent out a message: "Seal the Earth's spirit secret realm from today onwards, and will not participate in any battles for the next 1,000 years." When the news spread, this caused many forces to be astonished. The tremors in front of the Eldar had already made people wonder if there was a strong enemy attacking the Eldar. At this time, after hearing the news from Eldar, immediately, many races and forces had sent experts to Eldar's territory to investigate the situation. Since the Earth Eldar had sealed the Earth's spirit secret realm, that would be equivalent to the Eldar giving up his territory in the outside world. In this way, the various races would be able to step into it as they wished without being seen as a provocation. The Fiend Race Mystic Realm. The original main hall had been replaced by the Heavenly Demon Temple. The Demon Emperor lived in the Heavenly Demon Temple. Below him were many experts of the demon race. Not long ago, Ling Huang's aura was revealed, and now he announced that the Earth's spirit secret realm is sealed. Do you know which force attacked the Eldar and forced Ling Huang to seal the Earth's spirit secret realm? The Demon Emperor looked at the many demon saints below and said calmly, "Just like the Eastern continent. Only those who had broken through to the 7th level of the celestial being could be called demon saints." At this moment, there were more than 20 demon saints sitting here, showing the powerful strength of the demon race. Some time ago, when they besieged the human race, the demon race did not use all their strength. They still left many demon saints to guard the demon race secret realm. 4. To prevent other races from taking the opportunity to sneak attack the demon race's base camp. Hearing this, Demon Saint Tianhong shook his head and said, "I've already sent people to inquire about the news, but there's no movement for the time being. I believe there will be news soon." The Demon Emperor nodded slightly, then said, "Is there any movement from the human race? The human race now occupies an area of 100,000 miles, and there are no signs of advancing for the time being. However, there are many human cultivators active in our western continent." Tianhong replied without hesitation. At the mention of the human race, the atmosphere in the heavenly demon temple became much gloomier. The demon race had dominated the western continent for hundreds of thousands of years. When had they ever encountered such a failure? In that battle, not only was the demon emperor injured, but even a few demon saints had died. The demon emperor said, "Pass down Ben Huang's order to kill all the humans who enter the western continent. At the same time, let the other forces take action. Other than our subordinate races, the other races might not listen to our orders. It doesn't matter whether they listen to the order or not. Anyway, just spread the news. In addition, there's an additional reward. Anyone who kills a human can come to the demon race to receive the reward. Ben Huang wants to see how many humans there are to kill. It's not the ancient times anymore. The human race has been silent for so many years. They should be fending for themselves in the eastern continent. If they dare to come out now, they're courting death." The demon emperor said coldly with a gloomy expression. The human race could forget about taking root in the 3 continents. At least, in the western continent, he wanted to make it difficult for the human race to move. The human emperor was indeed strong, but as the emperor of the human race, how could he dare to leave the territory of the human race so easily? If the various races were determined to attack him, no matter how strong the human emperor was, he would still be at risk of dying under the encirclement of many emperors. Therefore, in the demon emperor's opinion, the human emperor did not dare to leave the territory of the human race. However, the human emperor was indeed strong. At least, the demon emperor was not confident that he could defeat the other party. Now that the restrictions of heaven and earth have been opened and the rules of heaven and earth have been perfected, the path above the heavens and earth has been completely opened. Ben Huang will enter seclusion in the next few days. If there's nothing major, don't disturb him. Is His Majesty about to break through? A demon saint asked excitedly. With the demon emperor's current strength, there was only one reason for seclusion, and that was to break through to a higher level. Hearing this, the other demon saints were also excited. The demon emperor was already in the nirvana realm. If he broke through again, he would be in the realm of an ancient true immortal. Now, in the 4 continents, the strongest existence was only in the nirvana realm. If at this time, the demon clan could produce an expert of the ancient immortal level, then which force in the 4 great continents would be able to stop the demon clan? At that time, the demon race would be the only top race in the 4 continents. The demon emperor smiled and said, "It's still too early to say if I can break through. However, the rules of heaven and earth have been perfected, and the emperors of the other races should be preparing to break through. We demons can't fall behind. Now is not the past. Although the nirvana realm seems to be the top, sooner or later, an ancient true immortal will be born. When that time comes, only a true immortal will have the absolute right to speak. Congratulations, Your Majesty." Tianhong was the first to congratulate him, as if the demon emperor had already broken through to the true immortal. The rest were the same. The demon emperor smiled faintly, obviously very pleased. Breaking through to the true immortal realm. It was also his obsession. The demon race had a very long lifespan, but so what if it was long? The heavenly human demon race could live for at most 20,000 years. And breaking through to the true immortal realm, their lifespan could reach 129,600 years. For this realm, the demon emperor had a desire in his heart. At this moment, Tianhong's expression suddenly froze. He looked at the demon emperor and said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty, the Earth Eldar has sent news back. Speak." Seeing Tianhong's stiff expression, the demon emperor was not too concerned. As for the other demon saints, they all turned their attention to Tianhong. They also wanted to know what happened to the Earth Eldar. Everything was fine. Why did the Earth Eldar seal the Earth's spirit mystic realm? Tianhong coughed softly and said, The Earth Eldar sent news that it was Qin Shujian of the human race who attacked the Earth Eldar and killed the current Divine Guardian General Pan Wu and the previous Divine Guardian General Pan Yu. In the end, he forced the Earthling Huang to come out of seclusion. In the end, he severely injured the Earthling Huang and forced him to seal the Earth's spirit mystic realm. Boom! As soon as Tianhong finished speaking, there was a huge commotion in the main hall. No one expected this. This was the reason the Earth Eldar sealed the Earth's spirit mystic realm. Even the faint smile on the Demon Emperor's face disappeared at this moment. The human race, Qin Shujian. He would never forget this name. Severely injuring the God Race High Priest was one of the main culprits behind the failure of the various races to besiege the human race. All the forces. They were all familiar with this name. But the biggest reason why the Demon Emperor remembered Qin Shujian was because the God Slayer who severely injured him came from Qin Shujian. In other words, to a certain extent, the Demon Emperor could be considered to have been indirectly injured by Qin Shujian. The other demon saints also had a drastic change of expression at this moment. If I remember correctly, the Earthling Huang was about to break through to the Nirvana realm, but he was seriously injured by Qin Shujian. This news was truly beyond their expectations. One had to know. Qin Shujian had severely injured the high priest of the god race because he had exploded a 7-seal Dao artifact. That was how he had found the right opportunity to attack. Moreover, at that time, the high priest of the god race was also injured because of the backlash from the divination. It could be said that Qin Shujian had an unfair advantage. The other forces did not know the situation, but how could the demon race not know the reason? So, although many demon saints were wary of the second strongest human, they did not think that the other party really had the strength to rival the emperor. But now, the Earthling Huang was seriously injured by the other party. One had to know that the Earthling Huang was not injured at all, and in terms of strength, he was not weaker than the God Race High Priest. He was a veritable emperor. In this situation, the Earthling Huang was seriously injured, and the Earth Eldar had lost another 2 mighty figures because of this. These demon saints also understood why the Earth's spirit secret realm was sealed. The Demon Emperor's expression was indifferent as he said, "Tell me the details of the situation?" The Earth Eldar did not say too much in detail, and now that the Earth's spirit secret realm is sealed, we have no way to take the initiative to send in the news. Tianhong shook his head helplessly. Speaking of which, he was also a little speechless about the Eldar. He did not speak in detail, but gave a general idea. In that case, it was better not to give any information at all. Trash. The Demon Emperor cursed angrily. He did not know if he was cursing Tianhong or the Earthling Huang. Perhaps it was both. To this, Tianhong pretended not to hear it at all. Then, the Demon Emperor said, "Pay close attention to Qin Shujian's movements. In addition, the other human who has Zhu Bing needs to be watched closely. As long as he dares to leave the human territory, he must be killed. Yes. In addition, find a way to spread this bounty to the human race. Whoever can hand over the Zhu Bing to the demon race will be guaranteed to become an immortal." In the end, the Demon Emperor added one more sentence. He did not expect that the human race would hand over the Zhu Bing to the demon race. However, this did not stop him from disgusting the human race. It would be good if he could take the opportunity to divide the human race. If not, then forget it. Anyway, the demon race did not lose anything. P.S. I'll give you a small chapter. We'll talk about the rest during the day. In addition, because some trainee accounts have been deliberately stirring up trouble recently, they have set up a rule that only 500 fans can comment. I believe that there should be 500 fans here. After all, a full subscription has 7,000 to 10,000 fans. If not, there's nothing we can do about it. Chapter 586. Before Qin Shujian returned to the human race. A piece of news. It had already exploded in the 3 continents. Qin Shujian of the human race attacked the Eldar, killed 2 mighty figures of the Eldar, and severely injured Ling Huang, who had broken out of seclusion. In the end, he forced the Eldar to seal the secret realm and not dare to appear for 1,000 years. When this news spread out, immediately, the momentum of the human race increased by a lot. With the strength of a single person, he was able to force the clan to seal the secret realm. With such strength, he was considered the top in the 3 continents. Ling Huang did not say too many details, nor did he say that he was forced to hand over 2 drops of essence blood. This matter was too embarrassing. If word got out, it would only discredit the Eldar. So, in this way, it created an illusion that Qin Shujian's strength was really terrifying. To be able to be in the Eldar's territory. To force the Eldar to seal the secret realm. Only those emperors of the big clans could do this. After all, no matter what, the Eldar was also a medium-sized force. Ling Huang was half a step into the Nirvana realm, and with the help of the Eldar's luck, in the Eldar's territory, the other party was a supreme expert of the Nirvana realm. But even so, Ling Huang was still defeated. If there were still people who doubted Qin Shujian's strength before and whether he could compare to the emperor of a clan, then at this moment, there was no doubt. Well done! Haha, I didn't expect Sect Master Qin to leave the eastern continent to fight the Earth Spirit clan. If I had known earlier, I would have asked him to invite us. Who knows, we might have been able to take advantage of the opportunity to destroy the Earth Spirit clan. In the East City, after Dan Hao received the news, he first laughed heartily, then shook his head regretfully. At the moment, the 4 cities were suppressing the entire human race's passage. Apart from the original 4 city lords, many experts of the imperial court were also guarding here. The main purpose. This was to prevent any sneak attacks from the various races. After all, the 4 Saint Realm Masters, combined with the 4 cities and the spirit arrays that covered the surrounding 100,000 kilometers, were more than enough to kill an ordinary Almighty Master. However, if they were to encounter a Supreme Master from an entire clan, they would still fall short. As such, Dan Hao and the rest were overseeing this place precisely in order to prevent such a situation from happening. Inside the formation, with each additional celestial, their battle prowess would increase by a bit. With the 4 cities as the foundation, it was enough to make this place impregnable. However, a few days ago, Dan Hao had been recuperating in seclusion. As for the news of Qin Shujian's arrival in Eastern City, he did not receive it in advance. After the other party left, only then did he know that Sovereign Qin had come to the East City. Hearing this, the East City Lord shook his head and laughed. The Earth Eldar is not weak. If he brings you along, Sect Master Qin may not be able to beat the Earth Eldar into the sealed secret realm. What do you mean by that? Am I really that weak? Dan Hao's face turned red. What was the meaning of this? Is the great Dingyuan general so weak? Although he had not broken through to the Almighty Realm. But the previous battle had already made Dan Hao understand something in his heart. He was confident. In the next few years, he would definitely be able to step into the Almighty Realm. Once he broke through to the Almighty Realm, in the entire human race, they would be ranked among the top powerhouses. However, even now, Dan Hao was confident that he was one of the few powerhouses of the human race. A half-step Almighty was not a joke. The East City Lord did not argue with the other party and said with a faint smile, "This time, Sovereign Qin killed 2 Almighties of the Earth Eldar. I heard that they were the former Divine Guardian General and the current Divine Guardian General. These 2 Earth Eldar powerhouses were at least at the 8th level of the Celestial Being Realm. Needless to say, Ling Huang was at the 10th level of the Celestial Being Realm. In the Earth Eldar's territory, he was comparable to the Nirvana Realm. So what if he was at the 8th level of the Celestial Being Realm? During the battle, I also killed the Almighty." Dan Hao's eyes widened in anger. So what if he was an Almighty? Was he that great? It was as if no one had killed the Almighty before. The East City Lord said, "General Dan is amazing. He was too lazy to argue with the other party. Everyone knew that the Almighty that Dan Hao killed was at the 7th level of the celestial being realm. But there was something to be said. The other party had indeed killed the almighty powerhouse. After all, a seriously injured almighty was still a almighty. Seeing the East City Lord's indifferent expression, Dan Hao was furious and wanted to drag the other party out to compete. To this, the East City Lord waved his hand and said, "General Dan, now that the Earth Eldar has sealed the secret realm, Sovereign Qin's actions will probably cause other forces to be wary. There may be powerhouses coming to attack. Humph, let's fight. Who's afraid of who? We can take this opportunity to train our troops. The human race has been peaceful for thousands of years. It should have been like this long ago." Dan Hao was not afraid at all. So what if there was a great battle? The accumulation of the human race for thousands of years was not so fragile. If there was really a great battle, maybe they could take this opportunity to give birth to some powerhouses. Not to mention anything else. Just in the previous battle alone, many of the surviving cultivators had already broken through their original shackles. It was common for the genuine martial realm to break through the spirit martial realm and the spirit martial realm to break through the divine martial realm. Even some of the powerhouses at the peak of the divine martial realm were already preparing to break through to the celestial being realm. It could be said that although the human race had suffered heavy losses in this battle, but at the same time, it was also giving birth to many new powerhouses. In Dan Hao's opinion, the human race had been silent for too long. A few thousand years might not be a long time for the various races. But for the human race's 100 years of lifespan, a few thousand years, it was already a long time. Now that the human race had been silent for too long, it was time for them to fight. Originally, Dan Hao thought, when they attacked the demon race, it would be a war to baptize the entire human race. In the end, however, the demon race fled first. Until now. Only then did the real battle break out. There were heavy casualties in this battle, but the harvest was also huge. If the human race doesn't fight, how can they give birth to enough powerhouses? In thousands of years, the number of celestial beings born in the East continent can be counted on one hand. Is this because the human race is not talented enough? No, it's because they slacked off. They forgot the crisis of the human race, causing their cultivation to stagnate. Look at how many cultivators at the peak of the divine martial realm are in seclusion now. How many celestial beings can be born in the future? If we don't fight, how can we be reborn? Dan Hao's expression was resolute as he said sternly. More than 6,000 years ago, why was the human race able to drive the demon race out? Other than having a supreme powerhouse like the human emperor. It was because at that time, the human race was not afraid of death or war. The new generation of powerhouses was endless. At that time, however, the number of celestial beings who died in battle was more than the number of celestial beings left in this era. In terms of environmental conditions, how could the human race thousands of years ago, or even tens of thousands of years ago, compare to the human race now? But now, the number of powerhouses born in the human race was not as many as when they were struggling to survive under the demon race. So much so that the demon race could still have 12 demon saints after being defeated. The human race only had 7 or 8 mighty figures at most. In this situation, to put it bluntly, the human race had slacked off. They had forgotten the hatred of the past and the omnipresent crisis. Now that the 3 continents were connected, the tragic battle ahead was enough to wake the entire human race up. Dan Hao could foresee. It wouldn't be long before many powerhouses of the human race appeared out of nowhere. The East City Lord also felt something in his heart. He nodded and said, "The human race has indeed slacked off. However," he looked at Dan Hao and said with a laugh, "You, Dan Hao, are not much better. You haven't broken through to become a mighty figure for thousands of years. If you hadn't cultivated a life-prolonging cultivation method, you would have turned into a skeleton long ago. You say others are slacking off. Aren't you the same?" Hearing that, Dan Hao's face suddenly darkened. However, he did not refute the East City Lord's words. That's right. The human race had slacked off. He had also slacked off. If he hadn't cultivated a life-prolonging cultivation method and obtained a lot of life-prolonging spiritual herbs, with the lifespan of a celestial being powerhouse of thousands of years, he would have turned into a skeleton long ago. The limit of a celestial being was 7,000 years. That was for ordinary cultivators. For the powerhouses of the imperial court, they had a lot of life-prolonging spiritual herbs. It was not a big problem to push their lifespan to the limit of 10,000 years. After provoking Dan Hao with a simple sentence, the East City Lord stopped talking. During this period of time, the other party had been in charge of the East City. He had almost forgotten who the City Lord was. He always pressed on his head and made decisions on his own. To this, although the East City Lord was not angry, he still had to discuss Dan Hao. Otherwise, others would think the City Lord of the East City was Dan Hao, not him. Immediately, the East City Lord smiled again and said, "Speaking of which, during this period of time, many people have gone deep into the 3 continents. I don't know what they can get. It's hard to say." Dan Hao shook his head and said, "But there are a lot of foreign races who want to sneak into the East continent. Unfortunately, it's just wishful thinking to avoid the detection of the sky-reaching mirror." In front of the sky-reaching mirror, there was nowhere for any race to hide. It was impossible to walk through the passage. At this point, Dan Hao said, "There are a lot of foreign races in the 4 cities now. What do you think?" "What can I think? Let's just wait and see," the East City Lord said slowly with an indifferent expression. "The current situation is much better than we expected. At least not all the races and forces want to be enemies with the human clan. Most of the forces are in a wait-and-see attitude. The only ones who are really enemies with us are the Demon Clan, the God Clan, and a few other races. In my opinion, these neutral forces can be roped in. After all, it's hard to stand alone. The human clan is still far from being enemies with all the other races." It was not 200,000 years ago now. 200,000 years ago, the human clan was the enemy of the whole world. The races in the 3 continents had all participated in the war against the human clan. But 200,000 years had passed. Sometimes, a choice had to be made. Hatred was hatred. However, judging from the current situation of the human race, it was obviously impossible to destroy all the races. The only way to do this was to rope in some races and suppress others. Dan Hao glanced at him and said indifferently, "Those neutral races are also people who do not rise early without benefits. It's not that easy to rope them in. Do you have the capital to move them? In Brother Dan's opinion, what about the East Continent?" Boom! A shocking aura exploded. Dan Hao stared coldly at the East City Lord and said word by word, "Absolutely impossible." The East Continent was the human clan's bottom line. If they let go of the East Continent, the last trump card of the human clan would be gone. Dan Hao said coldly, "Huijan, I'm warning you. Don't have such thoughts again. The East Continent is the foundation of the human clan. We can't let the foreign races touch it. Otherwise, if something goes wrong, it will be a situation of misery and suffering. It's fine if you say this in front of me. If you really dare to make a decision on your own, I'll be the first to kill you." The killing intent was so condensed that it was almost tangible. It caused the City Lord's mansion to be covered by this terrifying intent. The East City Lord, Huijan, lowered his eyes and said calmly, "Brother Dan, there's no need to be angry. I just said it casually. Moreover, for so many years, we've excavated everything that can be excavated in the East Continent. What's left is just some territory. It's not a bad choice to give some to the other races in exchange for a group of allies." At this point, the East City Lord looked up at Dan Hao. The other party's killing intent did not affect him at all. The West Continent, the South Continent, and the North Continent are also full of different races. It's normal for the human clan to be dissatisfied with the East Continent. Even if you're dissatisfied, hold it in. The role of the city lords of the four cities is to ensure that the East continent will not be touched by the foreign races. Dan Hao's voice was cold and irresistible. Huijan, if you think that you can't be the city lord of the East City, then I'll report to His Majesty and change the city lord of the East City. That way, you won't betray the human clan and collude with the foreign races one day. If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. Brother Dan, you're exaggerating. I'm just casually mentioning it. The He family has fought for the human clan for generations. Thousands of years ago, the He family also lost 2 heavenly beings in the battle against the demon clan. In terms of contributions, to put it bluntly, you can't compare to the He family. The East City Lord said mercilessly. Dan Hao suppressed the anger in his heart. The killing intent that covered the City Lord's mansion disappeared, but his words were still cold. I won't deny the He family's contributions, but who knows if the He family's thousands of years of reputation will raise an ingrate. Huijan, you have to be careful. I'll keep an eye on you in the East City in the future. If you do anything wrong, don't blame me for being merciless. After that, Dan Hao did not pay any attention to the East City Lord. He swung his arm and left. Looking at Dan Hao's back view, the East City Lord could only smile bitterly. Sigh, a boorish man is a boorish man. There's no way to communicate at all. For this. After the East City Lord smiled bitterly, he could only shake his head helplessly. However, from Dan Hao's matter, he also understood one thing. For many people in the East continent, it was the foundation and lifeline of the human clan. No matter what, the East continent could not let the foreign races interfere. Sigh, the human clan can control the East continent, but I'm afraid that the human clan doesn't have the strength to dominate the East continent. The East City Lord sighed. The human clan defeated the joint forces of the various races. Was it very strong? To a certain extent, the human clan was indeed very strong. However, one had to know that when the various races joined forces, they did not use their true foundation at all. From the information he obtained, the demon clan alone had 20 to 30 mighty figures. Looking at the human clan, how many mighty figures could there be now? The human clan was strong. It was stronger than the human emperor, the powerful peak combat strength. However, could a human emperor support the human clan, but could he support the entire East continent? Now, even if there was one more Qin Shujian, he might not be able to support it. In the East City Lord's opinion, if the human clan wanted to stabilize, they had to make concessions. At least when they were not strong enough, they had to make the corresponding concessions and rope in a group of foreign races to fight against the demon clan and other forces. Or else, as time passed, there would always be races that would be dissatisfied with the human clan occupying a continent alone. At that time, another great battle would erupt. At that time, even if the human clan could temper experts in war, the speed at which experts were born, could it compare to the speed at which experts fell? This was still an unknown. Thinking of this, the East City Lords simply stopped thinking about it. Let's take it one step at a time. Perhaps the situation of the human clan is not as serious as I thought. On the other side, Qin Shujian also rushed back from the Earth Eldar. When he entered the 100,000 kilometers territory of the human clan, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. The Earth Eldar had caused such a big commotion. Qin Shujian was also a little worried, afraid that the powerhouses of the various races would send people to kill him. It would be fine if there were 1 or 2 emperors. If there were really 8 or 10 emperors, even with the God Slayer, Qin Shujian would have to kneel. The difference in strength was too great. There was no way to resist at all. Only after returning to the human clan's territory did Qin Shujian feel relieved. The feeling of returning home. It was always different. Although the defense of the 100,000 kilometers territory was only ordinary, this was the territory of the human clan. It was enough to make people feel at ease. After robbing the Earth Eldar this time, some other races should be on guard. Maybe even the demons of the Western Prefecture will take some measures. In the future, I still can't be too reckless. Qin Shujian thought to himself. Robbing was fun for a while, and robbing was fun for a while. But if the boat capsized, that feeling would be too good. According to Qin Shujian's estimation, if he wanted to wander around in the Western Prefecture and the other continents, he would have to at least break through to the 6th level of the celestial realm. When that time came, only then would he truly have the strength to rival a ruler. As for now, he was still a little short. When he reached the passage, the person guarding the door had already changed. As for this person, although Qin Shujian did not know him, from the other party's appearance and aura, he could vaguely guess his identity. Xiao Hong. He thought of this name. Qin Shujian looked at the middle-aged man in front of him again. No matter how he looked at him, it was difficult to associate him with the old butler of the Baiyun Marquis mansion. Sect leader Qin. Steward. Steward Xiao. Qin Shujian's tone was also a little stuttering. It was really Xiao Hong. Qin Shujian did not have the strength to complain in his heart. He did not understand why these people always liked to become younger after breaking through to the celestial realm. But fortunately, compared to Fan Xinglan, Xiao Hong was still a small fry in the presence of a great one. When Xiao Hong saw Qin Shujian, he was in a good mood. He laughed and said, "It's all thanks to sect leader Qin's creation pill that allowed me to break through to the celestial realm and extend my lifespan by thousands of years." Steward Xiao, you're too polite. Qin Shujian forced a smile on his face. He could be considered to have seen it clearly. Whether it was young or not, it was all a personal hobby. There was nothing much to say. Xiao Hong in front of him had broken through to the celestial realm. It was also a matter worth celebrating. Looking at Qin Shujian in front of him, Xiao Hong sighed. Xiao Hong, on the other hand, was filled with mixed emotions. He sighed and said, "It hasn't even been a year, but Sect Master Qin has already reached such a level. He killed many alien race almighties and even forced the Earth Spirit clan to seal the secret realm. I thought that after breaking through to the celestial realm, I could look up to Sect Leader Qin. I didn't expect that after breaking through, the distance between us would be even greater." It was hard for him to imagine. The person in front of him was just a small real martial realm cultivator a few years ago. Xiao Hong thought of when he met him in the past. He was still not sure if the other party had the possibility of breaking through to the celestial realm. But it was only a few years. Qin Shujian had grown to the point where even he was not qualified to look up to him. For this, Xiao Hong also felt something in his heart. Qin Shujian said with a faint smile, "Steward Xiao, you're being too serious. This time, you've broken through to the celestial realm, and can guard the passage here. The Imperial Court also thinks highly of you. There's hope for you to go further in the future. It's all thanks to Sect Leader Qin." Xiao Hong laughed, and his mood was much better. Breaking through to the celestial realm. Not to mention anything else, just being able to live for thousands of years was a great thing. As for guarding the passage, to be honest, it was also because too many celestial realm cultivators had died in the Imperial Court, coupled with the fact that he was a member of the Baiyun Marquis mansion, that he was able to get this job. If he were to say that he was satisfied, that was for sure. Qin Shujian cupped his hands and said, "I have other things to do this time, so I need to return to the eastern continent. After Steward Xiao finishes guarding the passage, you can come to the Yuan sect and have a good chat with me. It's a deal. Sect Leader Qin, please walk in front of the heavenly mirror. After all, this is the rule." "I understand." Qin Shujian nodded slightly and then walked in front of the heavenly mirror. The feeling of being spied on still came. Qin Shujian wanted to try to resist, but he found that he could not do it at all. Because that was the probing of the rule power. In his opinion, in order to resist the prying of the heavenly mirror, his understanding of the rule power had to reach an extremely deep level. The reason why he had this idea. Qin Shujian was not against the heavenly mirror. It was just to prevent some secrets from being discovered by others in the future. Soon, Qin Shujian's information appeared on the mirror. Name, Qin Shujian Race, Human Realm, Heaven Human Level 5 Combat Strength, 28,700. Compared to the last time, his combat strength had increased by 200. Qin Shujian estimated that it should be because he had devoured Pan Yu. Although that energy was all used to recover his body, there was still some that overflowed and expanded his acupoints. Seeing this, Xiaohong on the side. He was completely dumbfounded. There was no problem with a combat strength of 28,700. It was normal for someone who could defeat Ling Huang to have a high combat strength. However, coupled with that dazzling level 5 of Heaven Human, everything became abnormal. All along, Xiaohong thought that Qin Shujian had reached Heaven Human level 10, but he never expected that the other party was only at Heaven Human level 5. The information appeared quickly and disappeared just as quickly. After Qin Shujian, it was Jiang Feng. Name, Race, Zombie Realm, Heaven Human Level 2 Combat Strength, 200. Jiang Feng did not belong to the human race, so there was no complete information left in the heavenly mirror. To this, Xiaohong did not care because he knew Jiang Feng too. Originally, he thought that there was a problem with the heavenly mirror. But after seeing Jiang Feng's attributes, he doubted himself again. Steward Xiao, I'll take my leave first. Qin Shujian did not care too much. After cupping his hands slightly, he brought Jiang Feng into the passage. On the spot, only Xiaohong was left in a mess in the wind. Chapter 587. Qingwu Hall. Elder Zheng, when will Sect Master Qin come back? Sect Master left so suddenly that I'm not sure. Jingfang replied helplessly. As soon as Qin Shujian chased him away, the elder from the Imperial Astronomer came. Regarding this, he felt helpless. It was not appropriate to chase him away. A few days passed. Su Zhan came on time almost every day and asked the same question. Jingfang was also in a terrible fix. The battle here has just ended. Why did Sect Master Qin run out again? If the God Clan and the Demon Clan find out, wouldn't it be troublesome? Su Zhan was speechless. He thought that after the battle, Qin Shujian would stay in Yuan Sect at ease. Therefore, Su Zhan did not come over immediately. Instead, he waited for his injuries to recover before he left. As soon as he arrived, he received the news that Qin Shujian had left. Su Zhan suddenly felt frustrated. If possible, he did not want to look for Qin Shujian. After all, he had just troubled him, and now he had to come over to ask for help. The elder from the Imperial Astronomer also wanted to save face. However, if Qin Shujian did not help him, Su Zhan was not confident that he could settle this matter alone. Zhengfang said, Sect Master has his own ideas now, and it is not something we can interfere with. In my opinion, Elder Su, why don't you go back first? When Sect Master comes back, I will send someone to inform you. No need. I will wait for him in Liangshan City. It will be troublesome if I go back to Zhongzhou. It will waste a lot of time going back and forth. Su Zhan waved his hand and said, it was impossible for him to go back. What if Qin Shujian came back and ran away? How could he find him? The human emperor did not give him much time. It was urgent to refine the human clan monument. Su Zhan's mood was also quite anxious. But there was no other way. Without Qin Shujian, he was not confident that he could refine the human clan monument alone. After all, the human clan monument. It was not something simple. Even if there was no innate embryo, he had to refine a top spiritual weapon comparable to a Dao weapon. Su Zhan was confident that he could refine a superior grade spiritual weapon. But he was not qualified to refine a top spiritual weapon. Therefore, in the end, he still asked Qin Shujian for help. Regarding this, Su Zhan was also somewhat embarrassed. He was an elder of the Imperial Astronomer, yet he was incapable of doing anything. Every time he needed to forge an artifact, he had to beg others. However, compared to before, Su Zhan was more used to it now. If he needed help, so be it. Since his skills were inferior, he had to admit it. Hearing this, Zheng Fang could only nod. That's good too. I will inform Elder Su as soon as the sect master returns. Thanks a lot! Su Zhan stood up, cupped his hands together, and bid farewell. In terms of status and strength, Zheng Fang was much weaker than him, but Su Zhan still had to give him some face because the other party was Yuan sect's great elder. Now, Qin Shujian was known as the second strongest human being. This was publicly acknowledged. It was also because of this that the Yuan sect had Qin Shujian. Although it was only a sect in the world of cultivation, in the eyes of many court officials, it was an existence that could not be offended. Su Zhan had just stood up and left. Zheng Fang's communication jade talisman vibrated. Immediately after, he read the information inside and called out to Su Zhan. The sect master has arrived in Cold Mountain City. In the courtyard, the two sat on the left and right. Qin Shujian poured a cup of tea for the other party and said with a faint smile, I thought it would take a while before I have the chance to see Elder Su. I didn't expect you to come so soon. Sect Master Qin already knows why I'm here? If I'm not wrong, it should be about the human clan's monument. Qin Shujian's expression was calm, as if he had already seen through Su Zhan's heart. One would not visit a temple without a cause. Su Zhan came at this time in such a hurry. Other than the human clan's monument, he really could not think of any other reason. Hearing this, Su Zhan laughed, slightly hiding his embarrassment, then nodded and said, Sect Master Qin is wise. This old man is indeed here for the human clan's monument. At the mention of the human clan's monument, Su Zhan's expression was also solemn as he said, Sect Master Qin should know that the human clan's monument is of great importance and absolutely cannot be sloppy. I'm also a Grandmaster Forger, but in terms of means, I'm not as good as Sect Master Qin. This time, if Qin Shujian does not take action, I'm also in a lot of trouble. Refining the human clan's monument is fine. Qin Shujian didn't refuse. However, when he agreed, he suddenly changed the topic of conversation. However, Pavilion Elder Su should know that there is no such thing as a free lunch in this world. The reason I refined the 4 city gates was because I helped out as a human. Afterwards, in the war with the other races, I asked myself if I had contributed a great deal. What benefits can the Imperial Court give me this time to refine the human clan's monument? Qin Shujian had never thought of working for the Imperial Court for free. Although in the big picture, the current situation was still for the sake of the entire human clan. However, even if the 3 continents were conquered, the Imperial Court and the human emperor were the ones who really ruled the world. This time, he opened the heaven and earth restriction. It was also because the human emperor wanted to break through to the perfected immortal realm that he did this. Strictly speaking, the Imperial Court was the leader of the human clan, and the majority of the benefits were taken by the Imperial Court alone. Qin Shujian was a member of the human clan, but he was not a member of the Imperial Court. Working for the Imperial Court for free was something that the people of the Imperial Court should do, but it had nothing to do with him. There were some things he needed to make it clear on the surface. Or else, Qin Shujian did not have so much free time if the Imperial Court ordered him to do anything. Su Zhan said in a deep voice, What do you need, Sect Master Qin? I heard that killing the alien experts this time can be rewarded according to their merits. I wonder what rewards I can get. Qin Shujian did not answer but asked a question instead. He was really concerned about this matter. Su Zhan was choked by Qin Shujian's strange way of thinking, and then he came back to his senses. I'm not responsible for the rewards, so there hasn't been any leak. But with your achievements, I think there will be a lot of benefits. Then please tell the human emperor that it's best to change all the rewards into spirit stones, or the blood essence of some experts above the 9th level of the celestial being, or the corpses of ancient perfected immortals. Anyway, the more these things the better. I'm not picky, Qin Shujian said. Hearing that, Su Zhan was powerless to complain in his heart. The blood essence of experts above the 9th level of the celestial being was fine, but the corpses of ancient perfected immortals were really daring. Even he himself. He had never imagined the corpses of ancient perfected immortals. Not to mention whether the Imperial Court had them or not. Even if they did, it was impossible for them to take them out. One could figure it out with their brains. How important was the corpses of ancient perfected immortals? To this, Su Zhan could only reply perfunctorily. I'll pass on Sect Master Qin's words to His Majesty, but I can't guarantee the specific situation. I naturally believe in Elder Su. This time, I can refine the human race monument. If it's a top spirit weapon, it will cost 100 spirit stones. If it's a Dao artifact, a Force-sealed Dao artifact will cost 100 spirit stones. In the future, for each seal, the spirit stones will double. All the materials will be provided by the Imperial Court, and I won't be responsible for failure. Qin Shujian stated his conditions. With Yuan Zong's current power, there was nothing to be lacking. Apart from spirit stones and the corpses of experts, there was nothing else. As for the top materials, to be honest, it was not difficult for Yuan Zong to collect them. Su Zhan nodded and said, according to His Majesty, the human race monument this time should be a top spirit weapon. Well, then I'll refine the human race monument with 100 spirit stones as the price. Okay. Su Zhan nodded in agreement. 100 spirit stones were expensive. But it was not that the Imperial Court could not afford it. The Imperial Court had inherited the foundation of the human race for hundreds of thousands of years. Only the human emperor himself knew how many things had been accumulated over the years. Such a rich foundation. 100 spirit stones was just a small matter. Just as Su Zhan was about to get up and leave, Qin Shujian suddenly thought of something and called out to him. Elder Su, wait a minute! Su Zhan stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at Qin Shujian in confusion. Sect Master Qin, is there anything else? Help me pass a message to the human emperor. I want a fragment of the heavenly mirror or a fragment of the immortal ranking of 10,000 races. If there is one, I can waive the 100 spirit stones and even the reward for killing the experts of foreign races. Okay. Although Su Zhan was puzzled, he still nodded and agreed. He knew about the heavenly mirror. It was a supreme treasure of the ancient heavenly court, which was now guarding the passage to prevent outsiders from sneaking into the eastern continent. But the immortal ranking of 10,000 races. Su Zhan had never heard of it. In front of Qin Shujian, there seemed to be a lot of things that he didn't know. It was as if the other party was an old antique who had lived for thousands of years, and he was more like a newbie who had just stepped into the cultivation world. The difference. It made Su Zhan feel a little tired. After Su Zhan left, Qin Shujian looked away again. You want to use the fragment of the immortal ranking of 10,000 races to recreate the supreme treasure of the ancient heavenly court? Godslayer's voice sounded in his mind. Qin Shujian shook his head and said, the immortal ranking of 10,000 races is a 9-sealed Dao artifact after all. Even a fragment must have all kinds of magic. It's naturally a good thing to be able to obtain it. I plan to refine the heaven roll to rank the experts of the origin sect. If it can be integrated into the immortal ranking of 10,000 races, it will definitely be more perfect. As the carrier of the origin sect's providence. If he wanted to refine it, he couldn't do it casually. In order to refine the heaven roll. For this reason, Qin Shujian even went to the western continent and personally took 2 drops of Ling Huang's essence blood. If it could be integrated into the immortal ranking of 10,000 races or the fragment of the heavenly mirror, the heaven roll would definitely be even more terrifying. Afterward, Qin Shujian said, Senior, do you know how to make a Dao artifact give birth to a strong enough spiritual intelligence? For example, I found that the origin sect has many Dao artifacts and spirit artifacts. However, I don't think I've ever seen one with spiritual intelligence like the heaven roll. He thought of the heaven roll. If the Dao artifacts of the origin sect all had spiritual intelligence, their power would increase a lot. After all, they were both Dao artifacts. One had brains and the other didn't. It was obvious who was stronger. At the mention of the Qianquan Bao, the god-slaying saber pondered for a moment before slowly saying, "That Tao artifact of yours is quite mystical. If I'm not wrong, it should have been when an expert fell and his scattered divine sense fused into his body, causing such a transformation. Unlike living beings, whether it's a spirit artifact or a Tao artifact, although it can have spirituality, it's not something that can be achieved by simply increasing its level. It requires the accumulation of endless years and various fortuitous encounters." The scattered spirit sense of an expert. Qin Shijian's face turned serious. This was the first time he had heard of this. Soon, Qin Shijian thought of the God-Slayer again and said, "Then why can Zhu Bing have spiritual intelligence and wisdom? It's very simple. Faith. Faith. That's right. The reason why Zhu Bing can unlock wisdom is because of faith," the God-Slayer said in a solemn tone. "Don't underestimate the power of faith. It's the most mysterious thing that can be born from living beings in the world. Once any being is tainted with the power of faith, they can have all kinds of miracles. Then can the power of faith be used for cultivation?" Qin Shijian thought of the gods that he had learned about in his previous life. Relying on the faith of all living beings, they had extraordinary power. Hearing this, the God-Slayer was silent for a while and said slowly, "I don't know why you have such an idea, but I can tell you clearly that don't use faith to cultivate. Because the faith of all living beings is not pure and contains many heterogeneous things. In ancient times, there were experts who wanted to use the power of faith to cultivate. In the end, the faith of all living beings destroyed the spirit of the cultivator, turning the cultivator into a walking corpse. Or simply, the power of many beliefs fused into a distorted personality, causing the cultivator to completely lose his nature. No matter which one it is, the self will no longer be the self, so you must not use faith to cultivate. Otherwise, you will be digging your own grave." When Qin Shijian mentioned faith, the God-Slayer was really a little worried. After all, the more talented a person was, the more they would have their own opinions and adhere to their own opinions. In this case, if Qin Shijian really used the power of faith to cultivate, it would be troublesome. Qin Shijian said with a faint smile, "Senior, don't worry. I'm just asking casually. It better be so." The God-Slayer sighed. Hearing this, Qin Shijian also paid more attention to the existence of faith in his heart. Judging from the God-Slayer's solemn tone, faith was like a highly toxic poison to cultivators that couldn't be touched. But for divine weapons, faith was extremely useful. Could it be that the divine weapons themselves don't have a personality, and the so-called personality is the original empty shell of the divine weapon after condensing the power of faith, so the two don't conflict? A thought suddenly came to Qin Shijian's mind. In his opinion, the truth should be more or less like this. The God-Slayer said, "If it's about giving birth to spiritual wisdom or even wisdom, I think the saber on your body is somewhat possible. After all, you have people worship it, and the power of faith is already condensing. Even if the condensation process is very slow, it should take about 800 to 800 years. He was more optimistic about Qian Shanxue. Although this Taoist artifact only had 4 seals. But judging from the way Qin Shijian cultivated it, it still had a lot of potential. In fact, the God-Slayer didn't need to say anything. Qin Shijian could also feel that there was a mysterious power lingering behind Qian Shanxue. That power was very weak, but it was very pure. At first, he didn't notice anything. It wasn't until his strength improved rapidly recently that he could vaguely sense something. If he guessed correctly, that was the power of faith. In the next few days, Qin Shijian stayed in the sect and didn't have any extra work. On the other side, the demon clan's bounty also officially spread in the Western Prefecture. As the overlord of the Western Prefecture, the demon clan still had a lot of say. Originally, during this period of time, many humans had already entered the Western Prefecture. But as the news spread, the humans in the Western Prefecture immediately suffered heavy casualties. Although the humans were very strong, Compared to the demon clan that had been operating in the Western Prefecture for hundreds of thousands of years, they were still a lot weaker. And now, all the major clans were jointly resisting the humans. As a result, the human forces could only be stationed 100,000 miles away from the entrance of the passage. They had no chance to go deep into the Western Prefecture. In addition, the demon clan's bounty was extremely generous. So, in the face of this bounty, the various forces didn't have much resistance. They all obeyed the demon clan's orders and assassinated the humans. For them, they weren't afraid of offending the humans because of this. After all, they had killed so many human forces. Who would be afraid of who? Besides, the human emperor was injured and could only stay in the territory of the human race. Excluding the human emperor, there were not many human experts who could make the human emperor fear them. As a result, the deterrence of the humans was even weaker. As for the humans leaving the eastern continent, these forces weren't afraid at all. Because there were too many forces that wanted to deal with the human emperor. The demon clan, god clan, and other forces. They wouldn't let the human emperor walk out so easily. Therefore, the demon clan's bounty was not difficult to stop at all. In addition to that, the news about Marquis Bayun's bounty also spread to the eastern continent. After receiving this news, Qin Shijian had a strange expression on his face. A bounty for Marquis Bayun? No way! He really didn't expect it. The demon clan would offer a bounty for Marquis Bayun because they wanted to seize Zhu Bing from him. As for the demon clan's reward, Qin Shijian glanced at it and scoffed. Immortal ascension. This was enough to fool a fool. The demon emperor hadn't even become an immortal himself. What right did he have to make others become immortals? However, there might really be fools who would believe it. After all, among the billions of humans, if there weren't a few idiots, they would think that they were living in a peaceful world. However, what surprised Qin Shijian was that Marquis Bayun had Zhu Bing, and he also had Zhu Bing. In the end, the demon clan didn't offer a bounty for him, but only for Marquis Bayun. This was a little thought-provoking. The demon clan thinks that I'm not easy to bully, so they want to bully Marquis Bayun. TSK. Thinking of this, Qin Shijian clicked his tongue in wonder. It turned out that the Marquis Bayun, who was so powerful in his eyes, was inferior to him in the eyes of the demon clan. They would pick the soft persimmons. Obviously. In front of him and Marquis Bayun, the demon clan thought that Marquis Bayun was easier to bully. For some reason, Qin Shijian was a little happy. Looking at the smile on his face, Su Yuanming and Jing Fang both had strange looks on their faces. Are you that happy that Marquis Bayun has a bounty on him? Ahem! Su Yuanming coughed, and asked Qin Shijian to pay attention to his words. Then he said, Sect Master, what does the demon clan mean by this bounty? Are they trying to take this opportunity to divide the human clan? Isn't it obvious? Qin Shijian's smile faded a little as he said indifferently. Shengfang said in a deep voice, Marquis Bayun is a rare almighty figure in the imperial court. This bounty is useless at all. The demon clan is just trying to disgust the human clan. In his opinion, this bounty was useless at all. Not to mention that Marquis Bayun was extremely powerful and there weren't many people who could deal with him. The demon clan didn't have much credibility. Qin Shijian said calmly, What's the big deal? Anyway, anyone can make empty promises. But it's not surprising that there are a few idiots among the billions of humans. Maybe someone really wants to assassinate Marquis Bayun. As long as they can create internal strife for the human clan, everything else is a small problem. Idiots! Su Yuanming laughed. Sect Master, your description is really apartment. He thought for a moment. Maybe there really was someone who would assassinate Marquis Bayun for the illusory bounty of the demon clan. However, Xingfang's face was a little solemn as he said, This time, the demon clan has also put a bounty on Marquis Bayun and the human clan. I heard that the other major clans have followed suit. Many human clan cultivators who entered the 3 continents have been besieged and killed. Even our sect has lost a lot of disciples. If the various clans resist the human clan like this, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to take root in the 3 continents. The demon clan decided. It didn't just affect the western continent. The Blood Eldar of the God clan and the others also followed suit. Just like the demon clan, which was an overlord of the western continent, the other 2 clans were also overlords of the other 2 continents. In the face of such a bounty, the various clans were not related to the human clan. No one would go against these top clans for the sake of the human clan. Qin Shijian's smile faded a little, and he said indifferently, "The other clans can put a bounty on Marquis Bayun, and so can we. In terms of foundation, the human clan is not inferior to them. Don't forget, the biggest problem in the 3 continents is not the various clans, but the variant humans of the 3 continents. Since the demon clan wants to play, we'll play with them. Haven't we already set up a Yuan-Gu branch in the eastern city? Then we'll post missions in the eastern city, whether it's divine connection cultivation methods or divine connection martial arts. As long as the variant humans want it, they will have a chance to get it. In addition," at this point, Qin Shijian paused. "Find out which forces in the 3 continents are opposing the demon clan, the Blood Eldar, and the God clan, and what their strength is like. If possible, we may be able to find a way to cut into the 3 continents from these forces." Zheng Fang nodded and said, "This matter will take some time. I'll get someone to check it out as soon as possible. By the way, do you know what the 3 continents lack the most?" Qin Shijian suddenly had an idea in his mind, and he asked, "What did they lack?" This sudden question made the 2 of them look at each other. "What do you mean, Sect Master? Is there anything that the Eastern continent has that the 3 continents don't, or even lack? P.S. The rest is still being written, as soon as possible." Chapter 588. This question. It instantly stumped the 2 of them. What exactly was lacking in such a huge continent? This was really not easy to find out. And more importantly, it was also one of the 4 great continents. How could there be something that the eastern continent had that the other continents did not? This was simply impossible. Qin Shijian was thinking. Su Yuanming and Jing Fang were also thinking. The scene instantly fell silent. After a long time, Qin Shijian had a flash of inspiration and said, "Dao artifact! Dao artifact?" The 2 of them looked at each other speechlessly. Qin Shijian smiled and said, "That's right, it's a Dao artifact. Did you notice that when the various races besieged the human race, although there were many experts, almost none of them used a Dao artifact against the enemy? In that kind of situation, even many mighty figures had fallen, so how could they hide different trump cards? If I'm not wrong, perhaps Dao artifacts are extremely scarce for the 3 great continents." The more he thought about it, the more Qin Shijian realized that his guess was correct. They had already fought to that extent. On the side of the human race, they had killed many celestials by detonating their Dao artifacts. However, no one on the myriad races' side did so. Either the various races did not have Dao artifacts. Then Dao artifacts were extremely rare and were simply unwilling to use them to self-detonate. For this, Qin Shijian thought of many things. What was the source of Dao artifacts? Innate embryo. Innate spirit object. And the source of these things was the innate items that were born when the new regions were born. Why could the Eastern continent have so many Dao artifacts? That was because every 10 years, a new region would be born, and there would be spirit objects born. If the myriad races did not have them, that proved that these races did not have the chance to obtain the innate spirit objects. Could it be that the 3 great continents can no longer be born? If that's the case, the 3 great continents have reached their limit. Qin Shijian stood up and flew into the air. His spiritual sense spread out and covered the entire Liang Mountain spirit domain. At this moment, he took in the entire Liang Mountain spirit domain into his perception. After a long time, Qin Shijian landed back on the ground. If that's the case, the history of the other three continents should be longer than that of the eastern continent. Perhaps that was the beginning of the birth of heaven and earth, and our eastern continent was born later. No, it should be said that there was no division of the four great continents at all. In ancient times, the heavens and earth were a single entity that spread out in all directions. However, when the Emperor of Heaven shattered the heavens and earth, the original part was preserved. Perhaps the eastern continent's current derivation is to restore everything it should have been in the ancient times. Qin Shujian muttered to himself. He had a new understanding of the eastern continent. The sea region should have always existed. In other words, the Emperor of Heaven's attack didn't reach the sea region because there are terrifying experts in the sea region. It's like a big cake. The Emperor of Heaven had cut more than half of it, and the eastern continent happened to be in the position of this cut. Therefore, strictly speaking, the eastern continent's original territory was much smaller than the other three great continents. Actually, this makes sense. In a situation where the human race was surrounded by enemies on all sides, what right did they have to occupy a great continent after the ancient times were destroyed? The land that the human race really occupied was only a small piece of land. It was only after hundreds of thousands of years that it finally became as vast as it is today. The three great continents have already reached their limits. The foundation there is already fixed. The only one that can truly grow is the eastern continent. If that's the case, the significance of the eastern continent's existence is even greater. Not to mention other things, just the innate spirit items that come with the birth of heaven and earth are immeasurable treasures. Furthermore, the Emperor of Heaven's attack was connected to the demon abyss. In other words, if the demon abyss invades the four great continents in the future, the eastern continent will be the first place. Speaking of which, if the demon abyss is so powerful, will the Chen River be able to stop the demons? When the restriction of heaven and earth is not broken, the Chen River still exists. In that case, if the restriction of heaven and earth is not broken, then the great calamity of the demon abyss in the future will have nothing to do with the three great continents. The more he thought about it, the more Qin Shujian could guess the human emperor's plan. Could it be that he was unwilling to let the human race face the demon abyss alone, so he opened the restriction of heaven and earth to drag all the other races down with him? He thought about it. This possibility was very high. Of course, if the restriction of heaven and earth could not stop the human emperor, it would definitely not be able to stop those tyrannical demons. If it really came to that, perhaps the demons would be able to open the restriction of heaven and earth on their own. Would that fallen immortal have left behind any trump cards? Probably not. The human race was already forced to this extent. Why would he leave any backup plans to prevent non-humans from breaking the restriction? Wait, what if it's really possible? After all, the eastern continent did not only have humans, but also demons. Perhaps that immortal really did have some backup plans to completely isolate the experts of the human race and break the restriction of heaven and earth. For a moment, Qin Shujian thought about many things. However, these things were already in the past. The restriction of heaven and earth had long been opened, so it was meaningless to think about it. But according to his guess, the Chen River could even melt an immortal. Perhaps it could really stop the demon abyss. If that was the case, if the human emperor opened the restriction of heaven and earth, then his intentions would be sinister. If he were the myriad races, he might have to fight with the human race. At the side, Xingfang and Su Yuanming were completely confused. They did not understand what Qin Shujian was saying at all. What Emperor of Heaven had shattered heaven and earth? What Chen River? What dragging everyone down? These things were not something that a cultivator of the spirit martial realm like them could understand. They were not at that level. They were not qualified to touch too much. Soon, Qin Shujian came back to his senses. Looking at the blank eyes of the two of them, he smiled and said, "Spread the news. Kill the demon race, the god race, the blood eldar, and other races that besiege the human race. If you kill an early-stage divine martial realm cultivator, I will help you refine a top-notch spirit weapon comparable to a 1-sealed Dao artifact. If you kill a middle-stage divine martial realm cultivator, you will get a top-notch spirit weapon comparable to a 2-sealed Dao artifact. If you kill a late-stage divine martial realm cultivator, you will get a 3-sealed Dao artifact. If you can kill the celestials of the various races, the transcendent realm cultivator can refine a top-notch spirit weapon comparable to a 4-sealed Dao artifact. The saint realm cultivator can refine a top-notch spirit weapon comparable to a 5-sealed Dao artifact. But there is a requirement. You must prepare all the materials yourself. I will be responsible for refining. If you fail, I will also bear the cost of the second batch of materials. If you have any doubts, tell them that I am the #1 forging master of the human race. The 4 majestic cities of the human race's 100,000 miles of territory were personally refined by me. The 3 continents lack Dao artifacts. The eastern continent also lacked Dao artifacts. However, without a Dao artifact, Qin Shujian could refine top-notch spirit weapons. Other than the fact that it could not suppress luck, the power of a top-notch spirit weapon was not weaker than a Dao artifact. Qin Shujian believed it. Once this news spread out, many races would definitely be tempted. Top-notch spirit weapons. It wasn't something that anyone could refine. Even if there were forging masters among the myriad races, they would definitely not be as good as him. This was not the ancient times. Qin Shujian was still very confident. It was not a big deal. He would save some luck points and upgrade the ancestral book of forging to the 3rd stage. When that time came, even if he had not reached the level of a saint, he was definitely close. Not only do I want the title of the #1 forging master of the human race, I also want the title of the #1 forging master of the myriad races. Qin Shuyan smiled slightly. Sometimes, the title of #1 could play a great role. After all, who didn't want a powerful divine weapon? Especially for cultivators. If they could obtain a powerful divine weapon, their combat strength would increase by a few points. Not to mention anything else, just their life-saving ability would increase by a lot. Su Yuanming said worriedly. If that's the case, Sect Master, you will become a thorn in the side of the demon race and the other big clans. They will definitely send experts to assassinate you. So what if they send experts to assassinate me? Let's wait until they can walk into the passage. Qin Shujian's expression was proud as he said disdainfully. And unless it's the emperors of the various clans, what do you think I need to worry about? If there's really a demon emperor assassinating me, it'll be exactly what I want. I'm sure the human emperor will be happy that there are foreign emperors stepping into the human territory. Yes, he would be happy. In the human territory, the human emperor's strength would increase a lot. When that time came, whoever came would be sending their heads to their deaths. After all, without the help of luck, the human emperor had already beaten up the emperors of the 4 clans. If he really had the help of luck, wouldn't it be like a father beating his son? He would be hung up and beaten, Qin Shujian said. However, there shouldn't be many experts who dare to face the demon race and the god race openly. We can spend more effort on those mutants. After all, they are fearless. As long as we give them enough benefits, they can play a more important role than you and me. Players. If they were used well, they would be the biggest resistance. Then, Qin Shujian said, find the forces that are hostile to the major clans as soon as possible, and then spread the branches of the Yuan sect out. At the same time, recruit some players from other clans. Okay. Hearing this, both of them nodded at the same time. Qin Shujian had already made plans for this matter. That's right. Qin Shujian stopped the 2 of them and said, by the way, issue a mission. Whoever can kill one of the Demon Emperor, the God Emperor, the Blood Ling Huang, and the Ancient Buddha Emperor can bring their bodies to the human territory. At that time, I'll give up Zhu Bing. Hearing this, Su Yuanming immediately understood what Qin Shujian meant. As the emperors of the major clans, how could anyone really assassinate the Demon Emperor and the others? When this news spread out, it was nothing more than to discuss the various clans. After giving out these instructions, the two of them got up and left. Qin Shujian sat in the same place without moving. He slowly tasted the spirit tea while his thoughts turned to other aspects. There are still too few disciples in the Yuan sect. The source of life provided by 200,000 disciples is still not enough. Now that the various clans are restricting the movements of the human clan, it is not easy to resolve this situation. However, if the human clan cannot leave the three major continents, the only source of life that the Yuan sect can harvest is the monsters. If I can recruit some of the foreign clans and players into the sect, I can use the war between the various clans to harvest enough source of life. This thought. Qin Shujian had just risen. As for recruiting disciples from other clans, he did not have any scruples. As the saying goes, there is no discrimination in education. For Qin Shujian, it had nothing to do with whether they were from the human clan or not. If they were from the human clan, they would still be enemies if they were his enemies. If they were not from the human clan, if they gave him benefits, they would still be friends. The concept of race. Qin Shujian did not care too much. The so-called not from the human clan was actually under the premise that they were his enemies. What a pity! Qin Shujian sighed and said, the various clans have made such a move to contain the human clan in the eastern continent. There is not much that I can do. How will the human emperor thank me this time? I don't have any big requests. Just give me some nirvana realm blood essence or the corpse of an ancient true immortal. Speaking of which, how strong are the ancient true immortals? Can the red lotus of purgation refine them? I am really looking forward to it. In the sea of consciousness. After hearing Qin Shujian's words, God Slayer suddenly had one word in his mind: freak. That's right. In his opinion, Qin Shujian already had the potential to be a freak. He wondered if all the experts had freakish characteristics. In God Slayer's opinion, among the experts he had seen, there seemed to be more or less a freak. Middle State Prefecture. Imperial City, Imperial Palace. Suzhan reported Qin Shujian's request truthfully. The blood essence of an expert, and the corpse of an ancient true immortal. He really dares to ask? The human emperor shook his head and laughed. These things. Don't say that he didn't have them. Even if he did, he would keep them for his own use. Who would directly give them to others? Suzhan said with a smile. Your Majesty, Qin Shujian also said that if you can give him a fragment of the immortal list of myriad clans or a fragment of the heavenly mirror, it will offset the merit of killing the alien experts last time and the reward for helping to refine the human clan's monument this time. He knows a lot about the immortal list of myriad clans. It should be Zhu Bing of the human clan who told him. The human emperor had a faint smile on his face. Then, he said with a serious expression, in the past few days, news came that Qin Shujian went to the earthly Eldar of the western continent and killed 2 earthly Eldar almighty figures. He also severely injured Ling Huang, forcing the earthly Eldar to seal the secret realm to protect himself. Such a contribution can't be ignored. Since he wants a fragment of the immortal list of myriad clans, I'll do as he wishes. However, you have to help me pass a message to him. Your Majesty, please speak. Suzhan lowered his head and said. His heart was already in turmoil. He really didn't know why Qin Shujian left the eastern continent. Now that he heard the human emperor's words, only then did Suzhan truly understand what Qin Shujian had done. He killed 2 earthly Eldar almighty figures. He severely injured Ling Huang. Everything he did was a great contribution to the human clan. The human emperor said, the immortal list of myriad clans is not an ordinary supreme treasure. Even if it's just a fragment, it's not comparable to other supreme treasures. I can give him a fragment of the immortal list of myriad clans, but he has to kill an emperor of a clan in the future as a reward. If he agrees, you can give him the fragment of the immortal list of myriad clans. If he doesn't agree, then change the reward. Suzhan's heart trembled. After the human emperor finished speaking, he couldn't help but ask, Your Majesty, what exactly is the immortal list of myriad clans? Why have I never heard of it? It's normal that you haven't heard of it. The human emperor glanced at him and said calmly. The ancient heavenly court had several supreme treasures, and the immortal list of myriad clans was one of them. It was a top 9 sealed Tao artifact, but with the destruction of the heavenly court, the immortal list of myriad clans was also shattered. This supreme treasure that shocked the ancient times was eventually rendered into dust. A 9 sealed Tao artifact! Su Zhan's heart thumped violently. He didn't even dare to imagine what a 9 sealed Tao artifact was. On the surface, the strongest weapon of the human clan was only a 6 sealed Tao artifact. After the Tao artifact, the gap between each seal was difficult to cross. A 9 sealed Tao artifact. That was a supreme treasure that was enough to shock the human clan. Immediately, the human emperor stretched out his hand, and an irregular stone tablet that was about 10 feet in size appeared in front of the two. As soon as the stone tablet appeared, an aura that could suppress eternity was revealed. The surrounding space was slightly distorted, and a terrifying Tao rhyme overflowed from it, making it difficult for people to breathe. This is the fragment of the immortal list of myriad clans. Su Zhan took a deep breath. He had never seen the immortal list of myriad clans, but when he saw the stone tablet for the first time, a certain understanding rose in his heart. Even with his identity as an almighty, when he saw such a supreme treasure, he couldn't control himself. The human emperor stretched out his hand, and a terrifying force emerged from his palm. The surrounding void intertwined into a net, and then turned into a sealing force that acted on the stone tablet. All of a sudden, the aura that could suppress eternity disappeared. The Tao rhyme on the stone tablet also gradually disappeared, leaving only traces that seemed to be carved by knives and axes, which made people immersed in it. The human emperor grabbed the stone tablet and said, "This kind of supreme treasure can't be kept in a storage ring. Take it to the Liang Mountain Spirit Domain." "Yes, Your Majesty." Su Zhan stretched out his hands and respectfully took the stone tablet. In his hand, it was as heavy as a mountain. He had no choice but to use his true essence in order to hold the stone tablet firmly. In this regard, Su Zhan was meaningless. After all, no matter what, this was also a fragment of a 9 sealed Tao artifact. If he smashed it with force, he could smash a heavenly being to death. It was normal for it to be heavy. After Su Zhan left, another person walked in. That was the Crown Prince Xiang. "Why are you not cultivating today? Why are you here?" The human emperor sat in the pavilion and looked at Xiang calmly. Kinship and children. To be honest, after thousands of years, he had seen through it a lot. After so many years, the human emperor had given birth to many children, and some of the less talented ones had already fallen. After all, an expert like him, the children he gave birth to were actually not weak. But the so-called not weak was relative. Almost all the princes could reach the divine martial arts realm, but it was unknown whether they could break through to the heavenly being realm after that. Those princes who could not break through to the heavenly being realm, their lifespan was only a few thousand years. Falling was inevitable. Even after breaking through to the heavenly being realm, they might not be able to live for long. Not to mention other things. In the last battle, several princes died in battle. For such a thing, the human emperor's heart did not fluctuate too much. As a child of the royal family, he was born to live a good life. These were the favors he left behind, but it did not mean that he did not have to pay anything. As a prince of the Great Zhao, he had to fight for the Great Zhao. Dying in battle was just because he was not as strong as others. There was nothing to say. However, the human emperor valued Xiang. Otherwise, he would not have made him the crown prince. Even if this crown prince might not have the chance to ascend the throne. But no matter what, he was also training him as a successor. After all, among the many princes, Xiang had the highest cultivation talent. He had already reached the 9th level of the heavenly being realm. One more step and he would reach the limit of the heavenly being realm. In some clans and forces, he was already an emperor. This was also why, when he faked his death, the human emperor would pass his position to him. Unfortunately, in the end, Xiang was still too immature. Reporting to father, there is news from the 3 major continents. Led by the Blood Eldar of the God clan, the various clans have put a bounty on our human cultivators, causing us to suffer heavy losses in the 3 major continents. In addition, the Demon clan has put a bounty on the Marquis of Baiyun, wanting to seize Zhu Bing from him. Xiang reported truthfully. Even if he had reached such strength, he did not dare to be presumptuous in front of the human emperor. After he finished speaking, he paused and continued. The various clans have done this to a great extent to limit our exploration of the 3 major continents. In your opinion, what should we do? The human emperor's expression did not change as he said indifferently. Hearing this, Xiang seemed to already have an idea. He said, "In my opinion, why don't we give them a taste of their own medicine? The 3 continents are not a monolithic block. There are also many experts who are enemies with the Demon clan and other races. Since the various clans dare to put a bounty on our human race, we can also put a bounty on them. As far as I know, the 3 major continents also have many mutants, and we can take advantage of this opportunity. Even if we can't hurt the foundation of the various clans, we can still cause some trouble." The human emperor nodded slightly. After Xiang finished speaking, he said, "Then we'll do as you say. Also, put a bounty on the Demon Emperor and the God Emperor. The reward will be my great Zhao Zhu Bing." "Yes." Marquis of Baiyun's mansion. The white light receded. Li Guanglan put down the bow in his hand and ordered the surrounding guards with a cold expression. "Guard the place strictly. Kill anyone who dares to step into the Marquis's mansion without permission." "We obey." The guards obeyed. Then, Li Guanglan stepped into the study. There, Marquis Baiyun was holding a book in his hand and carefully reading it. After entering the study, Li Guanglan bowed and saluted. "Marquis, all the mutants who stepped into the Marquis's mansion without permission have been killed." "Yes." Marquis Baiyun did not raise his head and softly grunted. Li Guanglan said, "These mutants really don't know what's good for them. They dare to plot against Marquis and even dare to betray the human race. Should we take this opportunity to drive all these mutants away? There's no need for that." Marquis Baiyun shook his head and put down the book in his hand. He looked at Li Guanglan and said with a faint smile, "Expelling the mutants is creating enemies. There are not many mutants who are really bewitched by the Demon clan. As long as we kill these people, the trouble will naturally disappear. However, if we don't do anything, it will inevitably be seen through. How about this? Put a bounty on all these mutants and make them have no place in the Eastern continent." "Yes." Li Guanglan bowed and accepted the order. Chapter 589. As for the bounty offered by the Demon clan, Marquis Baiyun didn't take it seriously from the beginning. However, he still underestimated the IQ of some people. During this period of time, there were frequent assassins who came to assassinate him, but they were all killed by the guards before they could take many steps in the Marquis Baiyun's mansion. Regarding this, Marquis Baiyun could only sigh. There were so many fools. Compared to Qin Shujian, I have become the easiest target in the eyes of the Demon clan. Life is unpredictable. He could only sigh. No one would have thought. In a few years, Qin Shujian would grow to such an extent. Marquis Baiyun couldn't help but think sometimes. He was too useless. Or Qin Shujian was really that monstrous. In a few hundred years, he had gone from a beginner to a mighty figure. He was already considered a genius. But compared to Qin Shujian, Marquis Baiyun realized that his achievements seemed to be only average. He thought of the first time he met Qin Shujian. Marquis Baiyun couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. He said, "Do you think there were any human experts in ancient times who could improve as quickly as him?" There was no one in the hall. It was easy to imagine who he was asking. In the sea of consciousness, Stone Spear's voice sounded. "To be honest, unless he is the reincarnation of an ancient true immortal, No matter how amazing he is, he can't reach this level in a few years. Moreover, the Zhu Bing in his hand is a god slayer, one of the 3 great Zhu Bing of the human clan in the past. I guess he might be one of the ancient true immortals. An ancient true immortal of the human clan. Marquis Bayun was stunned. Senior, can you tell which true immortal reincarnation he is? It's hard to say. There were too many true immortals of the human clan in ancient times. After all, the history of the human clan can be traced back to the birth of heaven and earth. No matter how long a true immortal can live, he can only live for 129,600 years. However, that period of time was not as short as a few hundred years or even a few million years. There were too many true immortals born in the human clan. Some might be waiting for an opportunity to cultivate again. Stone Spear said in a deep voice. The foundation of the human clan was very strong. It had given birth to many true immortals as well. Although there weren't many true immortals in the same period, the number of true immortals in the history of the human race was a bit excessive. Marquis Bayun was silent for a while. Stone's Spear continued. But his previous life as a reincarnation of a true immortal is not that important. After so many years, even if he was a reincarnation of a true immortal, all that was left was his foundation. As for the memories of a true immortal, perhaps they have long been buried in the river of time. In this era, the human tribe is facing a crisis of life and death. At first, I was not very sure. But now, after meeting Qin Shujian and the human emperor of the human tribe, I am sure. If we can't survive the great tribulation of the Devil Abyss this time, perhaps the human race will have no way out. I originally thought that you would be the one who would decide the survival of the human tribe, but now it seems that you are just one of them. Qin Shujian is one, the human emperor is another, and maybe there are more people. After the ancient times, the human tribe went from prosperity to decline and was silent for 1,080,000 years. However, after reaching the peak of prosperity, there is bound to be a decline. After 1,080,000 years, the human tribe should return to its heyday. Now that the laws of heaven and earth have been perfected, the spirit energy of heaven and earth has been continuously strengthened after connecting with the 3 continents. Soon, more and more experts will be born in the human tribe, and maybe there will be true immortals. In his sea of consciousness, Stone's Spear was telling him little by little. Marquis Bayun listened silently again. There were some things he didn't know as much as Stone's Spear. Or rather, in fact, 90% of the things he knew came from Zhu Bing. Of course, Marquis Bayun's talent had nothing to do with Zhu Bing. Stone's Spear chose him. It was also because of his outstanding talent. In fact, you don't have to hide so much. The more amazing your talent is, the more you will be favored by the human tribe and even the providence of heaven and earth. This is the era of great competition for the human tribe. If you don't fight for it, others will. The providence of the human tribe and even the providence of heaven and earth is only so much. The more ordinary your performance is, the more amazing others' performance will be, and then the providence will tilt toward them. If you don't want to disappear into the crowd, then you have to fight, snatch, and fight. No supreme expert can succeed by cultivating step by step. Over the years, you have hidden too much of your talent. Sometimes, if you hide your talent for too long, it will either be earth-shattering when you cut it out, or it will completely rust and become useless. Stone's Spear's calm words sounded in his sea of consciousness. He had hidden his talent for too long. Perhaps. Marquis Bayun let out a long breath and walked to the window to look at something. All these years, he had enough strength, but he had never shown it. What was the exact reason? Marquis Bayun couldn't explain it clearly. Perhaps he was worried that the human emperor would fail, that the human tribe would be completely conquered by the demon tribe, or that the Bayun mansion would fall into war. There were too many concerns. He didn't know when it started, but he had already become steady. This steadiness was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing. Forget it. Now that the human tribe has Xiao Chengfeng, it's not enough to change the overall situation. Since that's the case, there may be no need to hide. Marquis Bayun suddenly thought it through. A relieved smile appeared on his face. At the same time, the laws of heaven and earth loomed. A terrifying power covered the entire Zongyang city. The Western continent. The demon tribe had been dominating here for hundreds of thousands of years and had accumulated power for a long time. All these years, the demon tribe was overbearing and had offended many clans and forces. But because their strength was too tyrannical, many clans and forces were angry but didn't dare to say anything. But for the players, whether the demon tribe was strong or not, it actually had nothing to do with them. They only cared about whether there were missions to do and whether there were benefits to be gained. Now, the human tribe had issued a mission to reward the demon tribe. For this, the Eastern City even opened up the access to the players of the 3 continents. Immediately, many players poured into the Eastern City. Damn, is this for real? The mission rewards are really so generous. Channeling power technique, level 9 elixir pills, is the so-called Yuan Pavilion so rich? All the players clicked their tongues in amazement when they saw the mission on the screen. No matter where. Channeling power technique and level 9 elixir pills were irresistible temptations for these people. Don't underestimate the vastness of the 3 great continents. But in fact, these players weren't living that well. Because the clans and forces of the 3 continents were very strong. Correspondingly, the players were a little bit struggling. The real big clans wouldn't recruit these players. Those weak clans that needed the support of the players didn't have many resources. Gradually, the cultivation resources that these players could get were actually much less than the players of the Eastern continent. This was also why, when Yuan Zhong issued the mission, so many players poured into the Eastern City. Missions! Rare goods! The 3 continents were really too strong. The number of players in the 3 great worlds was also excessive. Even if there were some missions, it was completely not enough to share. As a result, it also caused the spiritual energy of the 3 continents to be richer than that of the Eastern continent, but the strength of the players was not much different. Hearing this, suddenly, a person who came to Yuan Pavilion to accept the mission said disdainfully, "Yuan Pavilion was established by Yuan Zhong. Don't you know Yuan Zhong's sect master? He is the second strongest person of the human clan, the best artificer of the human clan. The East City under our feet was created by that sect master Qin. Although it is a top spiritual artifact, it is not weaker than a 4-sealed Dao artifact. Let alone the Eastern continent, I'm afraid that no one in the other continents can compare with such forging skills." That's right. I can't guarantee the elixir, but there will definitely be no problem with the cultivation techniques and divine weapons. The people around also nodded in agreement. Qin Shujian, the second strongest person of the human clan, was also one of the faces of the human clan of the Eastern continent. This also led to Yuan Pavilion having a transcendent status. At this time, how could others have the right to question it? Hearing this, the players of the 3 continents all gasped. To be honest, they really didn't know about this matter. Although there was a bounty for the Monster Clan, God Clan, Blood Eldar, and other races from the Human Clan, these players only knew that the bounty came from the Eastern City, but they didn't know who was behind the mission. But if it was Qin Shujian, then there was no problem. Just as the humans of the Eastern continent said, the second strongest person of the human clan, the best artificer of the human clan. Just these 2 titles alone were enough to make them a golden signboard. Suddenly, players from the 3 continents wanted to accept the mission. However, the deacon who issued the mission glanced at them and said lightly, "To accept the mission, you need to register your identity in Yuan Pavilion first. To do so, go over there and pay the corresponding fee." After speaking, he gestured with his eyes to a place not far away. There was a group of players who were going through the registration procedures. In the inner hall of Yuan Pavilion, Luo Xing was drinking tea with Su Yuanming. "Elder Su, since the mission was issued, tens of thousands of players have come to register their identity. Based on the current trend, there will be a lot more in the future. If there is only one branch in the eastern city now, I'm afraid it won't be able to operate, Luo Xing said with a smile. Now, he was both happy and worried. The more people registered in the Yuan Pavilion branch, the better the performance would be, and he, as the pavilion master, would also receive corresponding benefits. However, the deacon was also a human. No matter how high a cultivator's cultivation base was, it was difficult to have countless clones. The mission had just been issued for less than 2 days, and tens of thousands of people had come. There would definitely be more in the future. The current small branch. Obviously, it couldn't accommodate so many people. Luo Xing had never thought that one day he would be worried about having too many people in Yuan Pavilion. Su Yuanming said with a faint smile. Pavilion Master Luo, you don't have to worry. It won't be long before the main sect continues to open more branches of Yuan Pavilion here. But before that, Pavilion Master Luo can also get more benefits. After all, capable people do more work. You can be the Pavilion Master of the Eastern City, which has already attracted the envy of many people. You should know that the Eastern City is an important location for the human clan of the Eastern Continent to open up the other 3 continents. If you can manage it well, you may have a chance to compete for the position of the Chief Pavilion Master of a continent in the future. It's all thanks to Elder Su's guidance that I have such an opportunity. Luo Xing smiled warmly. He was originally from Chuanyun village. Strictly speaking, he was also one of Su Yuanming's confidants. Now, he was arranged to come to the Eastern City to be the Pavilion Master of the Eastern City Yuan Pavilion branch. Su Yuanming was also involved in the operation. Su Yuanming said, I'm giving you a chance because you have the ability. How's the information I asked you to find out now? There are some clues. Luo Xing thought for a while and said, the demon clan of the Western continent has been dominating for hundreds of thousands of years, but they have never really been able to monopolize a continent. In the final analysis, there are other clans that are against the demon clan. As far as I know, there are 3 major clans in the Western continent that are not on good terms with the demon clan. They are the 9-headed hound clan, the Black Stone Condor clan, and the Earthbound Dragons. As for the southern continent and the northern continent, our people haven't infiltrated much, so there isn't much news for the time being. Su Yuanming nodded slightly. The resources of a continent. How could they let the demon clan monopolize it? To achieve this, they had to be like the human clan, where only the human clan was left in the entire eastern continent, and there were no other clans. Or they could have other clans, but these clans were much weaker than the human clan, and there was no way they could fight back. Or else. It was just wishful thinking to want to monopolize a continent. How's the strength of the 3 clans? According to sources, the 9-headed hound clan has a Nirvana realm expert, and no less than 10 powerful experts. As for the other 2 clans, they are about the same, but there are some differences in the number of powerful experts. However, without exception, all of them are Nirvana realm experts. Luo Xing said without hesitation. If they could go against the demon clan, they could not be much weaker than the demon clan. A Nirvana realm expert. That was only natural. If they did not even have a Nirvana realm expert, what right did they have to contend against the demon clan? Su Yuanming said. What grudges do the 3 clans have against each other, and what do they think of the human clan? It's said that the Black Stone Condor clan hates the human clan. When they heard that the human clan had come out of the eastern continent, the Black Stone Condor clan wanted to send experts there, but they did not do anything when they heard that the demon clan had also made a move. As for the Earthbound Dragons, they should be neutral. They don't think highly of the human clan, but they don't hate the human clan either. The 9-headed hound clan should be similar. However, during this period of time, when human cultivators were chased into the territory of the 9-headed hound clan, there were experts who protected them. Therefore, I boldly speculate that the 9-headed hound clan is closer to the human clan than the other 2 clans. However, the relationship between the 3 clans can only be considered average. If not for the threat of the demon clan, the 3 clans might have already gone to war. Luo Xing said. Much of this information was provided by the other folk. Compared to the human clan of the eastern continent, the other folk were even more fearless. As long as a mission was issued, there would always be someone to complete it. When Su Yuanming heard this, he nodded his head in satisfaction. You have done well in this matter. I will report this to the sect master. If it is indeed beneficial to our Yuan sect, we will definitely reward you according to your contribution. Thank you, Elder Su. Luo Xing was overjoyed. Then, Su Yuanming got up and left. Eastern Continent, Liang Mountain Spirit Territory. In the past few days, Qin Shujian had not gone out much. The main reason was that there was nothing to do outside. Instead, he took advantage of this time to refine a drop of Ling Huang's blood essence. He did not break through to the next level. However, his world had improved a lot. Qin Shujian secretly estimated that his combat power should be about 30,000. Even if it was not enough. But it would not be too far off. Di Ling Huang is still too weak. If he can break through to the Nirvana realm, maybe this time, my combat power will officially reach 30,000. Qin Shujian shook his head regretfully. But soon, he felt relieved. If Di Ling Huang had broken through to the Nirvana realm, he might not have had the chance to force him to give up 2 drops of blood essence. Although the Nirvana realm was still in the heavenly realm. But whether he broke through or not, there was still a big difference. Qin Shujian did not use the remaining drop of Di Ling Huang's blood essence because he still needed to create the heaven list. All of a sudden, Qin Shujian's perception moved, and in the next instant he disappeared from where he stood. At the mountain gate, Su Zhan was already waiting there. When the two met, they did not exchange too much pleasantries and directly walked in. In the courtyard, Qin Shujian said with a faint smile, Elder Su, what good news do you have this time? Indeed, there is good news. Su Zhan smiled and said, Sect Master Qin, do you recognize this thing? While talking, he untied a long black cloth from behind, revealing an irregular stone tablet. This is... Qin Shujian looked puzzled. Looking at the stone tablet that Su Zhan took out, he did not recognize it for a moment. It was just that there were traces of the stone tablet on it. It made him feel a little unusual. This is the immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races. In the Sea of Consciousness, God Slayer had already exclaimed, Immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races. He never thought that after so many years, he would really see this treasure again. As for Qin Shujian, after hearing God Slayer's words, his face also changed. Immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races. Hearing that, Su Zhan sighed and said, So Qin Shujian really does recognize the immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races. Yes, this is the immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races that His Majesty asked me to bring. However, this treasure has been broken, and this is just a fragment of the immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races. A fragment of the immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races. Qin Shujian looked at the stone tablet with burning eyes. Even he found it hard to remain calm when faced with this legendary treasure. At this moment, Qin Shujian looked at it from his perspective. He could also see that there was a seal on the stone tablet, which sealed the power of this treasure fragment. Godslayer said, This is indeed a fragment of the immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races. It used to be a top treasure of the heavenly court, but now it has also been broken. Judging from the size of this fragment, it should be 1/10 of the immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races. Moreover, it also contains a fragment of broken law. Not only is the immortal leaderboard of 10,000 races broken, but even the law contained in it is also broken. Boy, for you, this is a top treasure. If you can refine the law fragment inside, you might be able to directly step into the 7th level of the celestial human realm. The law fragment. For a celestial human realm cultivator, it was a priceless treasure. Because the law fragment contained rich law power. If a cultivator comprehended it, they could even draw nutrients from it to nourish their own law. However, the law fragment was difficult to obtain. Only after the entire law was broken could the law fragment be left behind. However, only ancient true immortals could break the law. Hearing Godslayer's words, Qin Shujian also took a deep breath. The law. It was the biggest obstacle to breaking through after the fourth level of the celestial human realm. Why did he want to strengthen his foundation and refuse to break through no matter what? Instead, he wanted to use the life source to break through in the future. To put it bluntly, strengthening the foundation was one of the reasons. But the real reason lay in the law. Qin Shujian knew that his understanding of the law was still very shallow. Even if he opened all the acupoints, his understanding of the law was still not enough to reach the corresponding level. Therefore, that was why he deliberately suppressed his realm and did not break through. He wanted to wait for the life source to be enough, and then succeed in one fell swoop. But at this moment, after hearing Godslayer's words, Qin Shujian suddenly realized that with this law fragment, he could make up for his shortcomings in the law. When that time came, although he was still at the fifth level of the celestial human realm, as long as his comprehension of the law could keep up, then the awkwardness of fighting against those 10th level celestial beings and even Nirvana realm powerhouses in the past would be alleviated a lot. It was not to say that it would completely offset the weakening, but at least there would not be the awkwardness of being directly erased when the other party's domain was opened. After understanding the importance of the immortal ranking board fragment, Qin Shujian said, "Human Emperor, are there any other conditions for giving this to me?" When he spoke, he was looking at Su Zhan. If it was a simple immortal ranking board fragment, it would be fine. But there was still a law fragment in it, and its value was already immeasurable. Human Emperor gave this to him. To be honest, if there were no conditions, Qin Shujian would not dare to ask for it easily. Because this gift was too heavy. Yes, too heavy. Even if he had killed a few mighty figures, this gift was still too heavy. It was not that there were no mighty figures in the imperial court. Even Xiang had reached the 9th level of the celestial human realm. If he was the human emperor, wouldn't it be better for the law fragment to be used by his own people? Not to mention anything else. With Xiang's 9th level of the celestial human realm, if he used the law fragment, he might be able to reach the 10th level of the celestial human realm, allowing the human race to have another emperor. Su Zhan smiled helplessly and said, "As expected, I can't hide anything from you." Qin Shujian thought to himself, "As expected." Seeing his expression, Su Zhan did not beat around the bush and said, "His Majesty wants you to personally kill a foreign emperor after obtaining the fragment of the immortal ranking board. If you agree to this, then the fragment can be given to you. If you don't agree, I have to take the fragment back untouched." He had killed an alien emperor. Qin Shujian did not expect the human emperor to think so highly of him. However, he did not refuse. "I've already brought the thing. If I take it back, wouldn't I have made Elder Su come here for nothing? I'll have to trouble Elder Su to tell His Majesty that I'll definitely kill a foreign emperor within a year to thank you for your help today." After that, Qin Shujian directly reached out and grabbed the stone tablet, placing it beside him. "Elder Su, when do you plan to refine the human monument?" "I'm already prepared and can start at any time." His attitude changed so quickly. Su Zhan almost couldn't react in time. Chapter 590. The casting of the human monument was supposed to take place in the next few days, but I received a message from the Imperial Court not long ago. There might be some changes in this matter. Su Zhan thought for a moment and said, "If possible, I would like to invite Sect Master Qin to Thousand Mountains Prefecture." "Go to Thousand Mountains Prefecture?" Qin Shujian raised his eyebrows slightly. Why would he go to Thousand Mountains Prefecture? As for Thousand Mountains Prefecture, he was a little familiar with it. After all, when the traitor Marquis Qian Shan rebelled, Qin Shujian had fought with the army for a period of time. At that time, if the human emperor hadn't faked his death quickly enough, Marquis Qian Shan would have been dead. Recalling the scene at that time, Qin Shujian was 100% sure. The human emperor must have faked his death because Marquis Qianshan couldn't hold on. Or else, how could he have faked his death so coincidentally? It was clearly to give the other traitors a chance to rescue Marquis Qianshan. But what they didn't expect was that Marquis Qianshan, who rescued him, was actually a traitor. Su Zhan was embarrassed and said, "His Majesty heard that sect Master Qin helped to cast the human monument, so he wanted to take this opportunity to upgrade the human monument to the Dao artifact level. Coincidentally, there will be an area birth in Thousand Mountains Prefecture this time. Sect Master Qin also knows that the birth of an area must be accompanied by the birth of an evil demon. The last time the Liang Mountain Spirit Domain was born, a demon god-level evil demon appeared. His Majesty is worried that something will happen this time. Who doesn't know that Sect Master Qin is one of the strongest experts of the human race? If you can come forward, it will be foolproof." He didn't say anything about being the second strongest expert of the human race. Sometimes this title was an honor. But sometimes, frequently mentioning the word second would also make the other party unhappy. In addition, he had a favor to ask. Su Zhan changed to a euphemistic way of saying it. The birth of an area. He really didn't know about it before. It wasn't until he came to the Liang Mountain Spirit Domain that he received a message from the Imperial Court. Su Zhan also felt frustrated about this. When he asked him to come forward, the human emperor didn't mention the new area. Now that Qin Shujian came forward, the other party mentioned the new area. What this meant couldn't be any more obvious. It was nothing more than seeing that his forging method was not enough, and Qin Shujian's strength. Su Zhan understood what he meant. Qin Shujian could vaguely guess what was going on. He looked at Su Zhan's expression. He smiled faintly and said, "The fact that the human emperor gave me the fragment of the Myriad Clan's immortal list shows that he thinks highly of me. Since the Imperial Court has ordered me to do so, how can I refuse? I just don't know when the ceremony will begin. The sooner the better. If it's convenient for Sect Master Qin, we can leave immediately." Su Zhan didn't want to waste any more time. After settling this matter, he decided to cultivate in seclusion for a while. He had suffered too many blows recently, causing this elder of the Imperial Astronomer to start doubting himself. Qin Shujian thought for a while and said, "How about this? Elder Su, you can rest in Liangshan City for 1 or 2 days. I will go to Thousand Mountains Prefecture with you the day after tomorrow at the latest." "All right." Su Zhan nodded slightly and didn't urge him. It didn't matter if it was 2 days earlier or later. After Su Zhan left, only then did Qin Shujian look at the stone tablet beside him. "Let me out," Godslayer said in his mind. Hearing this, Qin Shujian took the stone saber out of his mind. Looking at the stone tablet in front of him, Godslayer sighed and said, "The Myriad Clan's immortal list is the top Dao artifact of the Heavenly Court. It once recorded all the experts of the celestial realm and above. I thought I would never have the chance to see it again, but I didn't expect to see it again." His words were full of emotion. Looking at the fragment of the Myriad Clan's immortal list, Godslayer also felt a little bleak. Qin Shujian felt a little strange and couldn't help but ask, "Senior, do you mean that you were very familiar with the Myriad Clan's immortal list in ancient times?" "Of course I was very familiar with it." The god-slaying saber grew silent for a moment. Then it said, "Ancestral armaments have gained sentience and intelligence. Other than ancestral armaments, and those ancient era's true immortals, the only ones capable of communicating with ancestral armaments are these Dao artifacts and utmost treasures. In terms of foundation, although the Myriad Clan's immortal list is a Dao artifact, it can accommodate one law and has given birth to wisdom not inferior to Zhu Bing. When I was in the Heavenly Court, I talked a lot with the Myriad Clan's immortal list. He was also a close friend of the Myriad Clan's immortal list." At this moment, seeing his close friend broken, he couldn't help but feel sad. Spiritual chi surged. The stone saber trembled slightly, and a young man made of spiritual qi appeared directly in front of Qin Shujian. Senior. Looking at the young man in front of him, Qin Shujian had a strange look on his face. It had been so long. It was the first time that God Slayer had transformed into a human form in front of him. Moreover, according to Qin Shujian's thoughts, the God Slayer, an antique who had existed for tens of thousands of years, should be like an old grandfather, but he turned out to be such a young man. He didn't know if this was really the God Slayer's human form. Still, the other party could change at will. He walked to the front of the myriad clan's immortal list. The God Slayer stroked the stone tablet with his palm, his eyes full of longing, and said, "I still remember the first time I saw her. She was so dazzling. Although her body was a stone tablet, in my eyes, even the stars were inferior. Even after countless years, I still firmly remember that her voice was so clear and melodious that people couldn't help but be addicted to it. In the past, when we were in the heavenly court, we also wandered in the Qin River and went to the ninth heaven to explore the stars. Alas, at this moment, Qin Shujian had goosebumps. Now the God Slayer's appearance reminded him of a simp in his previous life. It's not that. The she in the other party's words was definitely a woman. In other words, the myriad clan's immortal list was actually a woman. No, was there a difference between men and women in Dao artifacts? Qin Shujian fell into deep thought. If there was no difference between men and women in Dao artifacts Zhu Bing, then what kind of earth-shattering relationship was this? Ahem! Qin Shujian coughed and had to interrupt the God Slayer's memories. Senior, you have a good relationship with the myriad clan's immortal list? Of course. At that time, I called her Siener, and she called me God Slayer. In the heavenly court, I had the best relationship with her. The God Slayer's gaze never left the stone tablet, his eyes full of tenderness. Qin Shujian facepalmed. He really didn't expect this. The God Slayer and the myriad clan's immortal list had such a shady business. But then again, no one said that Zhu Bing couldn't be in love with a Dao artifact. After all, they were both sentient and intelligent, and to a certain extent, could be considered a kind of living creature. In that case, it was reasonable to say that they had feelings for each other. Moreover, the myriad clan's immortal list was a stone tablet, while the God Slayer was a stone saber. The two seemed to have a lot in common. He reluctantly accepted this earth-shattering relationship. Qin Shujian coughed and said, Senior, it seems that you really like this immortal Siener. Who doesn't like outstanding people? The God Slayer glanced at him, then looked affectionately at the stone tablet. Besides, she's so outstanding. That's enough. Qin Shujian really wanted to stop him from doing this. But after thinking about it, he still didn't do so. The God Slayer had probably been single for millions of years. Perhaps the myriad clan's immortal list was his first love. No, it wasn't necessarily his first love. Perhaps it was his crush. Alas! Qin Shujian sighed. From the other party, he saw the side of himself that used to be a bootlicker. The goddess that he had a crush on. Bah! Qin Shujian shook his head to wake himself up. He didn't remember much about his previous life, but now that he was affected by the God Slayer, he inexplicably thought about it. Ahem, Senior, the myriad clan's immortal list is broken. Do you think there's any possibility of it being restored? If there is, maybe I can restore it. If it could be restored, he decided to give the God Slayer a first love. Even Zhu Bing could fall in love. Qin Shujian was also self-reflecting. Was he too much of a gentleman? With his current status, if he went out and waved his hand, would many female cultivators send themselves to his door? Bah! Qin Shujian secretly spat. What was he thinking? Now that the fire was about to burn his eyebrows and the demon abyss was about to come to his door, he was still thinking about these things. Hearing this, the God Slayer's eyes were still looking at the stone tablet, unwilling to move away. He shook his head and said regretfully, It's impossible. The myriad clan's immortal list is broken, and the wisdom born in the Tao artifact is annihilated. This is irreversible. Even if the myriad clan's immortal list is rebuilt, the wisdom born again will no longer be the original Sienna. Alas, some things are in the past. I've already seen through it. It's just that now that I suddenly saw the fragment of the myriad clan's immortal list, I couldn't help it for a while. He sighed. The Godslayer's figure dissipated and reappeared in the form of a stone saber. It was as if he felt the Godslayer's unhappiness. Qin Shujian didn't know how to comfort him. He really didn't understand this kind of love that was a little old. Everyone was silent for a quarter of an hour. After that, Qin Shujian said, "Senior, you said that the stone tablet contains the fragments of the Tao artifact. Then, if I want to comprehend the Tao artifact inside, what should I do?" He brought the matter back to the main topic. A dead person couldn't be resurrected. It was the same when a Tao artifact fell. Qin Shujian believed that the Godslayer would be open-minded. After that, the Godslayer hesitated for a moment, and then said indifferently, "Isn't there a seal on the fragment? As long as you break the power of the seal, then you can comprehend it. As for the method of comprehension, it's very simple. Attach your divine sense to it, and the broken power of the Tao artifact will take you to the mother stream of Tao artifact. When that time comes, you'll naturally get what you want." Qin Shujian's attention fell on the stone tablet. Although the power of the seal on it was faint, it had the feeling of suppressing everything. He didn't even need to guess. He knew that the person who set up the seal must be the human emperor. In the entire human race, only the human emperor could make him, the second strongest person of the human race, feel this way. The divine sense turned into a long saber and slashed down. It bombarded the stone tablet. Suddenly, the stone tablet shone brightly, and the thin silk net spread out. Then, under the attack of the divine sense long saber, it shattered and disappeared little by little. Rumble! As the seal broke. The aura that suppressed heaven and earth spread out from the stone tablet, causing the entire courtyard to tremble slightly. After all, the courtyard was only a spirit artifact. And the stone tablet was a top 9 sealed Tao artifact in its heyday. Even if it was broken now, the power left behind was not comparable to an ordinary Tao artifact. In an instant, the lines on the stone tablet completely came to life, and a rich Tao rune aura was revealed. Seeing this, Qin Shujian was also surprised. The 9 sealed Tao artifact fragment, this was the top Tao artifact he had ever come into contact with. If the myriad race's immortal leaderboard was not broken, Qin Shujian felt that if he recognized it as his master, he could definitely upgrade the Yuan sect to an 8th grade force, or even a 9th grade force. Perhaps it was even possible. But regrettably, the myriad race's immortal leaderboard was broken. A broken Tao artifact did not have the effect of suppressing fate. But it was normal. If the myriad race's immortal leaderboard was not broken, why would the human emperor give this supreme treasure to him? A complete 9 sealed Tao artifact was a supreme treasure that was enough to protect a clan. Not to mention the human race. If the news of the myriad race's immortal leaderboard was released, even the monster race and the god race would go crazy. Qin Shujian was not sure. Did the human emperor have other fragments of the myriad race's immortal leaderboard in his hands? But even if there were, it was not of much use. Such a supreme treasure fragment, other than where to smelt it, did not seem to be of much use. Of course, for ordinary forces, just this fragment alone could be passed down as the foundation of a force, and the Tao runes on it were enough for many experts to comprehend. Not to mention, the fragment also contained broken Tao runes. According to the method mentioned by the Godslayer, Qin Shujian's divine sense fell on the stone tablet. Suddenly, an extremely dense power of the rule-bending principles was evoked from within. The next moment, Qin Shujian's divine sense separated, and under the guidance of this Tao rune power, entered the mother stream of laws. The mother stream of laws was vast and mighty. There were countless branches of the river. Each branch represented a different Tao rune. It was different from the previous few times he entered the mother stream of laws. This time, when Qin Shujian entered the mother stream of laws, he immediately felt the guidance of the Dao Rune power, and then followed this guidance and wandered in the mother stream of laws. In the myriad races immortal leaderboard, Qin Shujian could not tell what kind of Dao Rune the Dao Rune contained belonged to. Now that this Dao Rune power was acting on him, it was like a small fishing boat with an engine installed, causing its speed to increase by many times in the mother stream of laws. Whoosh! Whoosh! One after another, he missed the mother stream of laws. Not long after, Qin Shujian had already arrived in front of the mother stream of laws that was hundreds of feet wide, and a familiar feeling surged in his heart. The mother stream of laws! Finally found you! Qin Shujian's face revealed a smile. Every time he entered the mother stream of laws, the position was different. Sometimes, if he was unlucky, it would take a lot of time to find the Dao Rune that he was compatible with. For him to enter the mother stream of laws now, the longer he delayed, the more Dao Rune power he consumed. Similarly, if the consumption was large, then there would not be much Dao Rune power left for him to use. From Celestial Realm Level 4 to Celestial Realm Level 6, the main thing to do is to understand the Dao Rune. What is meant by understanding the Dao Rune? It is actually to get close to the Dao Rune to observe it. But to say that I am not qualified to touch the Dao Rune. Qin Shujian recalled the cultivation method of the celestial being level. Every long river of laws contained a specific attribute. These attributes, for a cultivator, it was a great benefit and also a great harm. Just like the first time he entered the Sword Dao Rune. Without sufficient understanding of the Sword Dao Rune, he rashly charged in and faced only one outcome, which was to suffer the backlash of the Dao Rune and be thrown out of the mother stream of laws. It was the same now. Although the Dao Rune was compatible with Qin Shujian, but his understanding of the Dao Rune was still at the most superficial level. If it was in the past, after entering the mother stream of laws, Qin Shujian could only stand in front of the Dao Rune and silently comprehend it. However, it was different now. He obtained the Dao Rune power from the fragment. With this power, he could directly barge into the mother stream of laws. Qin Shujian thought so, and did the same. Under the guidance of his divine telekinesis, the power of the shattering laws enveloped his body, which was transformed from his divine telekinesis. Then, he directly crashed into the 1,000-feet-wide river of laws. Boom! The mother stream of laws trembled. At this moment, the entire river of power began to tremble. After entering it, a strong oppressive force came from all directions, as if it wanted to completely squeeze Qin Shujian, the intruder, out of the place. To this, Qin Shujian borrowed the power of the Dao Rune and used it in his own body, then transformed into a 10,000 feet tall body, using his hand as a knife and palm as an axe, steadily advancing in the mother stream of laws. At this time, powerful shadows appeared in the mother stream of laws. These shadows, they were once powerhouses who had mastered the Dao Rune. The moment these shadows appeared, they launched an attack on Qin Shujian. The Dao Rune! What was Dao Rune? It was about breaking all laws with one force. So, in the Dao Rune, it was a battle from beginning to end. The moment these illusory figures appeared, Yi Zichen's eyes lit up. Qin Shujian also had a kind of understanding in his heart. The mother stream of laws carries the imprints of all the powerhouses who have been in tune with the Dao Rune. To master the Dao Rune, one must walk a long enough distance in the mother stream of laws. Every time one walks a distance, one's understanding of the Dao Rune will increase. If I can walk to the end of the Dao Rune, then I can truly master this Dao Rune. In other words, when I reach that step, I will be a true immortal. Qin Shujian had a feeling in his heart. What was a true immortal? To master a Dao Rune was to become a true immortal. The Dao Rune wasn't so fancy. The only way was to fight, and in the end, one could become an immortal. At the same time, Qin Shujian also understood one thing. Why, once a Tao rune was mastered by someone, no one else could rely on this Tao rune to become an immortal. The reason was simple. After the Tao rune was mastered by a true immortal, if others wanted to rely on this Tao rune to become an immortal, they had to defeat the true immortal who mastered the Tao rune. But how could it be easy to go against a true immortal in the celestial realm? So, this was the reason why there were so few true immortals in the same era in ancient times. Now, Qin Shujian could sense that there was no controller of this mother stream of laws. Because once there was a controller, it wouldn't be these phantoms that stopped him, but the owner of the Tao rune. Before me, there were many powerhouses who were in tune with the Tao rune. Perhaps there were many existences who used it to become true immortals. But without exception, these powerhouses have all fallen. Not to mention that all the cultivators who were in tune with the Tao rune had fallen. But at the very least, there were no true immortals who could master the Tao rune. In this era, true immortals were extinct, and it was the most declining period of the myriad races. However, for others, it was also an era of great competition because the opportunity to become an immortal was right here. Many Tao runes have no owner. If you want to become an immortal, you have to rely on your own abilities to fight. The winner will become an immortal, and the loser will fall. That's how it is. As he continued to fight in the mother stream of laws, Qin Shujian gained more and more insights. At the same time, his understanding of the Tao rune was also gradually increasing. Boom! Boom! A 10,000 feet long phantom of a dragon appeared. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, shattering the void as it pounced towards him. Qin Shujian's fist shattered the void, his feet crushed the mountains, and he tore apart the 10,000 feet long phantom of the dragon. The current him. He wasn't fighting alone. There was a broken rule helping him. What was a broken rule? To put it bluntly, it was a fragment of a complete rule. Any complete rule represented a true immortal's path to immortal ascension. Even if it was just a fragment, the power it possessed was definitely extraordinary. However, Qin Shujian could also feel it. The Tao rune fragments contained in the myriad races immortal leaderboard fragments seemed to be inferior to the Tao rune. It wasn't that the fragments were inferior. It was that the rules themselves were inferior to the Tao rune. Any rule would be strong and weak. A strong rule would start much stronger than a weak rule. However, no matter how weak the rule was, it wasn't something that ordinary cultivators could compare to. Boom! Boom! Fight! With every step Qin Shujian took, a phantom would appear. He couldn't be bothered to look at it. He directly transformed into the phantom of Qian Shanxue and slashed with the long saber in his hand. Who cared if it was a god or a ghost? Who cared if it was a human or a demon? As long as they dared to block him, he would kill them all. At this moment, stopping him from comprehending the rules. That was akin to blocking his Tao path. To this, Qin Shujian wouldn't be merciful at all. Anyone who was his enemy deserved to be killed. A cold light burst out from the long saber. One by one, the phantoms shattered and fell. Every time one of the phantoms was killed, Qin Shujian felt that he had a better understanding of the Tao rune. But at the same time, the power of the broken rule was also gradually fading away. An unknown amount of time had passed. The power of the broken rule that carried Qin Shujian into the mother stream of rules had been exhausted bit by bit in the continuous battle. As the rule fragments were exhausted, he suddenly felt the pressure around him increase greatly. However, although this pressure had increased greatly, it gave Qin Shujian an illusion that he could control it. Although it wasn't enough to completely offset the pressure. But at least, there wouldn't be a situation where he was immediately beaten out as soon as he entered the long river of rules. Boom! As the phantom of a human powerhouse was destroyed, the long river of rules suddenly trembled and another phantom appeared. He looked at the phantom in front of him. Qin Shujian was stunned. Ancient Buddha Emperor! The phantom in front of him was a stoneman. Although the stoneman seemed to look the same, he felt a familiar aura from the other party. Ancient Buddha Emperor. The Emperor of the Ancient Buddha clan. What Qin Shujian didn't expect was that he would encounter the phantom of the ancient Buddha Emperor in the long river of rules. Chapter 591. Ancient Buddha Emperor. Qin Shujian did not expect this. The rules that the other party comprehended were also the rules of strength. Looking at the ancient Buddha Emperor's shadow in front of him, Qin Shujian took a step forward and was already fighting with the other party. Boom! Terrifying power erupted in the long river of rules. Two terrifying figures were fighting against each other. At this time, the ancient Buddha Emperor. It was not the real ancient Buddha Emperor but a mark that the other party had left in the long river of rules. In other words, the ancient Buddha Emperor had come here before. However, this did not mean that the other party had only come here. Thinking of the ancient Buddha Emperor's strength, Qin Shujian understood that even if the other party had not reached the end of the rules of strength, he had definitely walked a considerable distance. At least, it was not something that he could compare with now. Because when he was fighting with the ancient Buddha Emperor's shadow, Qin Shujian also felt a great pressure. In the long river of rules, the power of the body could not be used unless the cultivator's physical body entered the long river of rules. Therefore, now, both sides were competing in the comprehension of the rules of strength. It was just that from the beginning until now. Qin Shujian was at a disadvantage. The ancient Buddha Emperor was very strong. At least in terms of the comprehension of rules, he was much stronger than him. The Emperor of the ancient Buddha clan. He did not know how long he had been in the Nirvana realm. Perhaps the other party had already reached the point where he could become an immortal immediately. He did not know how long the battle lasted. The long saber in his hand slashed hard on the ancient Buddha Emperor's body. Terrifying power entered the other party's body. At the same time, Qin Shujian also took a punch from the other party. His divine consciousness was instantly destroyed. The scene changed. Qin Shujian groaned and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He lost. In the confrontation of the rules of strength, he lost to the ancient Buddha Emperor. Worthy of being the emperor of a clan. His strength is indeed strong. Qin Shujian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. How's the harvest? Godslayer saw this and could not help but ask. Hearing this, Qin Shujian regained his composure and smiled faintly. The harvest is not bad. I feel that my grasp of the laws is much stronger than before. Even summoning a domain is enough. Speaking of which, the smile on Qin Shujian's face froze. Domain. That was the sign of a powerful being. He had been painstakingly suppressing his cultivation all this time, but he wasn't going to break through now. Qin Shujian immediately looked at the attribute panel. Fortunately, his cultivation realm was still at Heaven-Human Realm level 5. Seeing this, he heaved a sigh of relief. Looks like in order to make a breakthrough, aside from reaching a certain level of comprehension of laws, the cultivation technique itself must also reach a certain level. Right now, I have yet to cultivate the primordial ancestral canon to the 6th level of the divine chapter. That is why I have yet to break through to the 6th level of the sky human stage. If you put it that way, it's actually a good thing for me. Qin Shujian had some ideas in his mind. Immediately after, looking at Godslayer, he asked, Senior, how do Deva cultivators assess their cultivation level? Is it based on their techniques, or their understanding of natural laws? Or perhaps both? Hearing this question, Godslayer didn't answer immediately, as if he was also thinking about how to speak. After a long time, only then did he open his mouth and say, When you ask this question, there is something you need to understand in advance. That is, what are cultivation methods and what are realms? In fact, when heaven and earth evolved, there was no such thing as cultivation methods or realms. Ancient cultivators relied on instinctively breathing in and exhaling the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, as well as using qi and blood to temper their bodies to increase their strength. Such cultivators had a name in ancient times. They were called she-cultivators. Later, as heaven and earth evolved for a long time, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gradually transformed from innate to acquired. It was no longer advisable to rely on this method to cultivate. Therefore, there were supreme experts who created cultivation techniques to make it easier for people to cultivate. The classification of cultivation techniques was actually based on the speed of one's cultivation and the upper limit of one's cultivation. The emergence of cultivation techniques was accompanied by the birth of realms. When these two first appeared, they didn't fit well. But after countless years of polishing and improvement, they evolved step by step into what they are now. When a cultivation technique breaks through to a certain level, the realm will also reach the corresponding level. This is the process of compatibility. Later, there were experts who understood the will of heaven and knew that the cultivators in the world had a lifespan limit. Only then did they completely perfect the evolution process of realms and form the current systematic cultivation method. Godslayer's words were a little messy, but Qin Shujian could understand part of it. To put it simply, in the beginning, there were no realms or cultivation techniques in heaven and earth. Later, there were experts who created cultivation techniques to facilitate cultivation. In order to correspond to the cultivation techniques, they finally created realms. Then, there were experts who understood the will of heaven and knew how long the cultivators in the world had to live. In the end, they completely perfected their realms. Godslayer said. But in extremely ancient times, there weren't so many complicated realms. The level of strength you have is equivalent to the level of a cultivator. For example, if you can fight against a 10th tier celestial being now, are you a 5th tier celestial being? No, strictly speaking, you are a 10th tier celestial being. But there were experts who understood the will of heaven and set up rules. If you can't reach that realm, you can't be considered a cultivator of that realm. It's the same even if your combat strength is heaven-defying. Then, Godslayer continued, do you know what level of cultivation technique comes after the divine connection cultivation technique? Senior, please tell me. Qin Shujian was humble and eager to learn. The higher his cultivation, the more things he wanted to know. Because this was for him. It would be an opportunity to explore. Godslayer said. Actually, after the divine connection cultivation technique, there are no more cultivation techniques. Because cultivation techniques only tap into the potential of the physical body. After a cultivator breaks through to the celestial being realm, the first 3 tiers are about the unity of essence, energy, and spirit, and the combination of spirit and body. But from the 4th tier of the celestial being realm onwards, it's about the comprehension of the rules. No matter how strong the cultivation technique is, it's impossible to touch the rules. So strictly speaking, the level of your comprehension of the rules is the level of a cultivator. But as I said earlier, there are supreme experts who created cultivation techniques and divided realms. There are also experts who understood the will of heaven and set up certain rules. Facing such rules, before you surpass them, you can't fight against them. So, you have to follow the rules. For example, your comprehension of the rules has surpassed the 5th tier of the celestial being realm and reached the 8th or 9th tier of the celestial being realm. However, your cultivation technique is still at the 5th tier of the celestial being realm. In that case, are you at the 8th or 9th tier of the celestial being realm, or the 5th tier of the celestial being realm? Facing Godslayer's question, Qin Shujian thought for a moment and replied, I should be at the 8th or 9th tier of the celestial being realm? That's right. Godslayer nodded, sounding like a child who could be taught. In fact, you're already a powerful cultivator, but I'll still follow what I said earlier. There are experts who set the rules, and the rules they set are the comprehension of the cultivation technique and the rules. You have to reach the same level to be considered a successful breakthrough. In other words, your comprehension of the rules is enough. But your comprehension of the cultivation technique is not enough. So, you're still at the 5th tier of the celestial being realm. But, Godslayer paused for a moment. He said too much in one breath, and he also had to think about some things. After a while, Godslayer continued. But, if you don't cultivate the cultivation technique and wholeheartedly pursue the rules, your cultivation realm might remain at the 5th tier of the celestial being realm. But when you reach the end of your comprehension of the rules, when you've completely grasped the rules, at that moment you'll directly become an ancient true immortal. If you don't want to be bound by the rules, you have to reach the same level. Once you've grasped the rules, you won't be bound by the rules set by the experts. So, from that moment on, your cultivation realm will jump from the 5th tier of the celestial being realm to the true immortal realm. But as long as you haven't taken that step, you'll still be at the 5th tier of the celestial being realm. You should understand what I'm saying, right? Hearing that, Qin Shujian nodded with a solemn expression and said, "Thank you for clearing my doubts, Senior." He wasn't sure how strong the experts who could set the rules were. But at the very least, they were at the level of an ancient true immortal, and not just any ordinary true immortal. According to Godslayer's words, if there were no restrictions, he would be at the 8th or 9th tier of the celestial being realm. But because of the restrictions of the rules, his cultivation technique wasn't up to standard, so he could only be at the 5th tier of the celestial being realm. But if he didn't care about the cultivation technique and wholeheartedly pursued the rules, then, when he reached the end of the power of the rules, he could completely break free from the restrictions of the rules and jump from the 5th tier of the celestial being realm to the true immortal realm. In that case, Qin Shujian could be considered to have completely understood. If that's the case, then the rules set by the experts don't seem to have any disadvantages, right? Who says there's no disadvantages? Godslayer sneered and said, "It's still fine for cultivators below the celestial being realm. After all, the increase in one's strength is closely related to the cultivation technique. But after reaching the celestial being realm, the cultivation technique is no longer necessary. The true strength of a cultivator lies in the comprehension of the rules. In the end, after painstakingly comprehending the rules, because the cultivation technique can't keep up, they're forcefully restricted to the same place. You have to understand that the breakthrough of a realm depends on the length of one's lifespan. In other words, a cultivator at the 1st tier of the celestial being realm has a lifespan of 5,000 years, while a cultivator at the 10th tier of the celestial being realm has a lifespan of 7,000 years. Lifespan comes from where it's bestowed by heaven and earth. Once you reach this realm, you'll be able to enjoy the corresponding lifespan. From the 1st to the 3rd tier of the celestial being realm, your lifespan is 5,000 years. From the 4th to the 6th tier of the celestial being realm, your lifespan is 6,000 years. From the 7th to the 10th tier of the celestial being realm, your lifespan is 7,000 years. For example, you're now at the 5th tier of the celestial being realm, but your lifespan is already 5,900 years old. Once you enter the mother stream of laws, your comprehension of the rules soars and directly reaches the 10th tier of the celestial being realm. At this time, you should be a 10th tier of the celestial being realm. But because of the rules set by that expert, you're only at the 5th tier of the celestial being realm. Because your cultivation technique can't keep up, you can't break through. If you were that cultivator, what would you do? I'd beat him to death. Qin Shujian gritted his teeth. He understood. He understood everything. The expert who set this rule back then was either a retard or he was still a retard. To some cultivators, setting this rule was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Originally, one's lifespan should have been extended by 1,000 years and finally had the hope of breaking through to the celestial being realm. But in the end, because of the rules, it was forcefully suppressed at the original realm. A single step away was the difference between life and death. Godslayer said. So, you don't have to be obsessed with the problem of your realm. Because your lifespan is still very long, there's no need to be calculative. In any case, as long as your comprehension of the rules reaches a certain level, you'll be considered a cultivator of that level. When you completely grasp the rules, you'll be a celestial being. In fact, that expert set the rules for the sake of all living beings. When a celestial being breaks through to the celestial being realm, his true body needs to enter the long river of laws. If his physical body isn't strong enough and can't withstand the erosion of the long river of laws, he'll end up dying. Therefore, he set the rules, hoping that cultivators can advance together, but he neglected the need for some cultivators to extend their lifespan. The starting point was good. It was just that his thinking wasn't perfect enough. Qin Shijian nodded silently. Although this was understandable, it didn't stop him from thinking that the expert was retarded. Fortunately, he wasn't the one who was nearing the end of his lifespan. Or else, Qin Shijian felt that he would dig out the other party's ashes and scatter them completely. At this moment, he was no longer bothered by the problem of his realm. In any case, it was a good thing to be strong. As for what would happen next, Qin Shijian couldn't be bothered to care. If he guessed correctly, when the time came, his life source would be enough. It might not increase his comprehension of the rules, but it would definitely allow the Gui Yuan ancestral canon to advance. With this calculation, he didn't seem to have lost anything. Immediately, Qin Shijian was relieved. However, he still asked, "What's the name of that expert? Did he leave any descendants behind?" "I'm not sure," Godslayer said. "I don't know how that expert died. In any case, all traces of him were erased after he died. As for the descendants he left behind, they seem to have all died. Such a person, when he was alive, he wouldn't be beaten to death. After he died, his descendants wouldn't have a good life either." The god-slaying blade said earnestly, "If you are strong enough to set the rules, don't act recklessly. Learn from the mistakes of others and learn from the mistakes of others." "I understand." Qin Shijian nodded. He had no intention of courting death. Why would he make rules out of nothing? Wouldn't that be looking for trouble for himself? However, what really caught his attention was the first sentence the god-slaying saber had said. "Senior, did you just say that to break through to the true immortal realm, one needs to enter the long river of rules?" "Of course," Godslayer said indifferently. "To break through to the true immortal realm, one needs to transform one's physical body into an immortal body. It is necessary to enter the long river of rules to cleanse one's body. Moreover, it is extremely dangerous for one to break through to the true immortal realm. This danger doesn't only come from the long river of rules, but also from other cultivators. Senior, please tell me." Qin Shijian cupped his hands towards the stone saber, with a sincere attitude of asking for advice. He understood how to break through to the true immortal realm. For him now, it was also quite beneficial. What if one day he had reached this step? After all, who could say for sure about this matter? Godslayer said, "I didn't want to tell you too much, so as not to affect your cultivation. But judging from your current progress, becoming an immortal might not be too far away for you. Since you've asked, I'll just tell you everything. Any cultivator who becomes an immortal will encounter their biggest hurdle. This hurdle is called the Tao obstruction." "Tao obstruction?" Qin Shijian looked puzzled. He thought of the phantoms he had encountered in the long river of rules. Qin Shijian vaguely understood. He had already understood what the Tao obstruction was. Godslayer said, "When you entered the long river of rules, you should have encountered many phantoms. Those phantoms are the living beings who have entered the long river of rules in the past. A long river of rules can only allow one person to become an immortal. However, there are many cultivators who have truly walked the path of an ownerless law. If you become an immortal, you will be blocking the path of other cultivators who walk this long river of rules. Therefore, when anyone becomes an immortal and their physical body enters the long river of rules, there will be cultivators who walk this path to block the path. At that time, the long river of rules will open up a battlefield. If you can defeat all those who block the path, you can ascend to the top and become an immortal. Otherwise, your breakthrough will be considered a failure." Those who could become an immortal. After all, they were the strongest in a law. If they didn't have the strength to suppress those who blocked the path, what qualifications did they have to control a law? Therefore, the biggest obstacle to becoming an immortal was not the comprehension of the laws, nor was it whether the physical body could withstand the erosion of the laws after entering the long river of rules. The biggest obstacle to becoming an immortal. It was only those who blocked the path. If they could suppress those who blocked the path, it wouldn't be a big problem. If they couldn't, everything would be in vain. Suppress everything and you can become an immortal, Qin Shujian murmured. He thought of the phantoms he encountered in the long river of rules. Most of them should have fallen, but at least some of them were alive. For example, the ancient Buddha Emperor was like this. In other words, if the ancient Buddha Emperor achieves the Tao, I will be the one blocking the path. If I achieve the Tao, the ancient Buddha Emperor will be the one blocking my path. Qin Shujian thought through the key points and felt relieved. Was the ancient Buddha Emperor very strong? Very strong. At least he could fight with the human emperor. His strength was already top-notch. But no matter how strong the ancient Buddha Emperor was, he still lost miserably to the human emperor. He would lose. Then he wouldn't be the strongest. Although Qin Shujian didn't have the confidence to fight against the human emperor now, as long as he was given time, he was confident that he could grow to that level. Very soon. He thought of something else. Then if there are very few people who walk on a law, or if no one walks on it, will there be a lot less resistance? Of course, Godslayer said. A law that no one walks on is your own path. You can walk it however you want. If you want to achieve the Tao, no one will stop you. In ancient times, it was the easiest to become an immortal because there were many laws that no one walked on. But it's different now. There are too many cultivators in the world, and many of the laws have been walked by people. Some of the laws that no one walks on are small laws. Even if you are lucky enough to become an immortal, it will be difficult for you to achieve great things in the future. But for some people, it's good enough to become an immortal. As for whether you are strong after becoming an immortal, it's not that important. Becoming an immortal. One could have a lifespan of 129,600 years. This was the main point. For many cultivators, living a long life was the most important. Cultivation was just to live long enough. As for combat strength, to a certain extent, it could be abandoned. Qin Shujian said. Are there many people who walk on the law of strength? Not many, but not few. The law of strength is relatively common, but it's also relatively difficult to comprehend. However, from ancient times until now, there must be many people who have comprehended the law of strength. As for how many powerhouses there are, you should know better than me. After all, you can enter the long river of the law of strength, but I can't. Godslayer said calmly. Qin Shujian nodded in agreement. There were indeed many shadows in the long river of the law of strength. Qin Shujian didn't ask any more. Now that he had obtained enough information, he needed to digest it properly. And he came out of the long river of the law of strength. Some of the comprehension of the law of strength hadn't been completely turned into his own use. In this situation, Qin Shujian needed some time to polish it. How long have I just entered the long river of the law of strength? About a day. A day. Qin Shujian looked at the time. Tomorrow was the deadline to agree to the ancient battle. Thinking of this, he didn't waste any more time and immediately entered a state of cultivation. On the other side, inside the ancient Buddha's secret realm, the ancient Buddha Emperor, who was cultivating, suddenly opened his eyes and then looked up at the sky. Suddenly, terrifying fluctuations burst out from his eyes, and the mother stream of the law of strength suddenly appeared in his sight. He only saw the mother stream of the law of strength. Countless long rivers of the law of strength flashed past the ancient Buddha Emperor's eyes. In the end, a long river of the law of strength stopped in his eyes. There seemed to be a powerhouse fighting there. That was an image of the past. Another living being in the 4 major continents has comprehended the law of strength, and the degree of comprehension isn't low. To be able to touch the power imprint I left in the long river of the law of strength, who could this person be? The ancient Buddha Emperor fell into deep thought. Now, among the living beings in the 4 major continents, he had a rough idea of the number of powerhouses who had comprehended the law of strength. But this powerhouse who suddenly appeared made the ancient Buddha Emperor puzzled. The aura was very unfamiliar. At least, it was the first time he encountered it in the long river of the law of strength. In this situation, it might be the other party's first time entering the long river of the law of strength, but it didn't seem right. If it was the first time entering the long river of the law of strength, how could it have triggered his imprint? Someone who could do this. In terms of the comprehension of the law of strength, it should not be much worse than him. Could it be the other party is from the human clan? For no reason, the ancient Buddha Emperor thought of the Eastern continent and the human clan. Originally, the law of strength of the Eastern continent was isolated from the other three major continents. If someone from the human clan had embarked on the path of the law of strength in the Eastern continent, then he might not have discovered it. If it's the human clan, then who could it be? To comprehend the law of strength to such a level, it should be at least in existence in the 8th or 9th level of the celestial being realm. There are only so many powerful beings in the human clan. In the previous battle, the powerhouses of the human clan did not hide their law of strength, and I didn't find any familiar aura. Could it be that the human clan still has a hidden powerhouse? Several doubts flashed through the ancient Buddha Emperor's mind. This was not a trivial matter. There was an extra powerhouse out of nowhere, and it might be a big hindrance for him to become an immortal in the future. However, now that he had no clue at all, it was not easy to find out. After a long time, the ancient Buddha Emperor closed his eyes again. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.